Hey, Walrus. Alright, now that I know all the characters, I want to see the second intro. There are actually 3 intro videos. Whenever we made it to the 4th, I don't want to wait that long. All right, one more intro. What's up, second base? Which was better than the first one. Also, the woman has an untrained voice. What's up, Andy? I know. it gets... Hope at least by the end... I know there's going to be multiple endings, whatever, because all the other ones have multiple endings. I just hope it's not like, you know... Hope it's something like the other ones was like one different ending for each different character, and then you get to the main ending. Hope it doesn't end up being like too painful. Oh. Who's the cutest in the world? Ida-chan. I think the funny thing, I think like that, the AI, it doesn't know that I say Ito like the right, you know, the Japanese way. It's like Ito-chan, like, you know, if you're American, you would say it. Like it doesn't know that I actually can sort of speak Japanese. At least like, you know what it's supposed to sound like. All right, let's get to this game. The hell is going on? This game's so confusing at this point. I have no idea what's real and what's not anymore. Hard to waves Misumi-kun at the station and head straight back to my base. Away there for like stumbling through a nightmare. Nami's face kept popping into my mind each time we did. Her expression was different. Oh yes, now her hand really was cut off. Nami had always been the type to wear her heart on her sleeve. When she was angry, she'd puff out her cheeks and pout. When she was happy, she'd smile so wide, make me even embarrassed. Memories all the different expressions made my heart thump again. Again, almost painfully so. I felt calm before the things she said. The hell they meant? It only mean the bandage wrapped around her arm when I'd seen her at school must have been... Could she be now at school? Maybe she's already gone back home.
Taku, ほら、前見て歩かないと転んじゃうよ。
Ordered by Rimi, the two of us came out on the roof. What? So many delusions now.
どうしたの？
これから実家に帰ってみようと思うんだ。
これから？急だね。
歩いても30分もかからないところなんだ。それで一緒についてきてほしい。
You should come too. I made that request. I was so nervous, I felt like it would burst out of my chest. I was even somewhat surprised those words had managed to come out of my mouth at all. Asking someone for something I've never been able to do before now. Oh, it's all wavery.
わかった。ねえ、私のことをご家族に紹介してくれる？
え？
Rimi peered in my face with a somewhat mischievous look.
タクのお家にお邪魔することになれば、顔を合わせることになるでしょ？タクはどうするつもりなのかなって思って。ねえ、どう
？Was that an event that only came after you started dating? You and I weren't even a couple, at least for now anyway. Hang on, what I just said for now? Is I seriously think we'd chance and ending up together? Yes, Rimi was really nice to me, but at the end of the day, I was an otaku freak. There's no way getting away from that. No chance in hell it ever happening. No point in even hoping for it to. Could be such a conceited loser, Takumi.
タク、教えてってば。
Was I supposed to answer that? Telling Rimi I'd introduced her would be expecting way too much. Saying I wouldn't introduce her would probably hurt her.
もう、じれったいな。こうなったら、はっきり言わせてもらっちゃおうかな。紹介して。
はい。
Caught off guard by her, I nodded in spite of myself, but Rimi seemed perfectly satisfied with my answer.
計算通り。
Their voice reached my ears. What? Surprised, I turned to where the voice come from, only to find Nanami hiding in the shadow of the container house, smiling.
Nanami!
It makes me really mad, yeah. Not Seira-tan. Why was Nanami here? Happy smile on her face was worlds away from what she'd been like over the phone. Looks like she's a completely different person. Bewildered, my mind went completely blank. Yet, despite my confusion, Nanami trotted over me with a spring in her step.
Yay!
Yay! Gave Rimi a high five. Huh? But why? She was acting almost like they knew each other. Heard anything about the two of them being friends?
びっくりした？実は全部ナナとリミさんの作戦だったんだよ。
作戦？
そう名付けてお兄とリミさんの仲を既成事実にしちゃおう作戦。お兄があんまりにも奥手で全然リミさんの気持ちに気づこうとしないからナナが協力したの。
You're kidding.
じ
So you
じゃ
pretend
あ
like your hand
お
got
前
cut off?
手首の包
What
帯
kind
と
of
か
weird
さっ
plan is
きの
that?
電
What
話
kind
と
of weird plan
か
is this?
全部作戦のうちお兄ったら本気でナナの心配してるからちょっと笑いそうになっちゃった。
Nami laughed without a hint of guilt. Anger flared that fucking bitch.
ごめんねタク騙すようなことしちゃって。リミさんは謝らなくてもいいの。お兄が超鈍感なのが悪いんだから。
Held him in his crestfallen. So with anger and frustration, anger being deceived, and anger being treated like an idiot for actually worrying about Nanami. Couldn't stand it. Instead, Nanami decided to do things. Rising above all the anger came a certain feeling. One about all my worries being unfounded. One about Nanami being safe. Not only safe, but more lively than ever. And the feelings of ease and relief towards those things were far stronger than any anger I could have had. The suffocating threads of tension coiled around my body were cut away in an instant.
タク大丈夫？お兄落ち込んでないで。ほら立って。これからお父さんとお母さんにリミさんを紹介しに行かなくちゃいけないんだから。3人で一緒に帰ろう。
How much of a brat my sister was, making a fool out of me, her own brother, time and time again. I was sulking somewhat, I reluctantly rose to my feet. Mimi and Nanami both smiled joyfully, then grabbed one of my hands each. Held long by them, I set off. I had a hunch things would get pretty fun from now on. A peaceful, bright future was ahead of me. No. Suddenly, a high-pitched sound pierced my ears. What was that? It almost like a woman's scream. I went back to my senses and forced to realize that Nami showing up, her strategy, that was all just convenient delusion for me. Strong gust of wind swept over the rooftop. The air trembled. Vision was overwhelmed with a blinding sheet of deep crimson. No idea what just happened. I turned my face to the light. I looked up on top of the container house. There she stood. What? Oh, Senna, D-sword in hand. This light was her D-sword, glimmering against the sky, but something was strange. I'd seen before, Senna's D-sword emitted a blue glow. Sound vanished, the wind stopped.
答える。
Voice was sharp, her glare cold, her eyes glistened with unmistakable
こ
animosity.
れを書いたのはお前か？
She spoke, she was a piece of paper with LR2 scribbled on it. My essay, for some reason, was all scrunched up. Why did Senna have that? Why was Senna here? Illegal trespassing. These words popped into my head, immediately followed by realization that she had searched my room. What for?
答えろと言っている。
そうだけど。だから。
Uh-oh. Next came the sound of Kozapi's inner voice. Where is she? There she is. She was behind Senna. She was clinging to Senna's legs. Her face was peeking out from behind them. She had an urgent look on her face when she looked at me. As Kozapi screamed, Senna leapt from the roof. She held the sword high and... Mimi yanked my arm and I fell backwards. I quickly looked back up, and then saw the place I had standing only moments prior. And the sword not only hauled out the floor of the rooftop, such insane destructive power, such tremendous sharpness, it didn't feel real. The impact had been great enough to destroy the concrete, and yet the sword didn't even have a scratch on it. Weren't these swords supposed to be things people couldn't see, let alone touch? A certain term crossed my mind. Real booting. Real boot. The sword has been real booted. Is this game just set up just to make you go crazy by using all the wacky words? The real mutual recognition of the four people here. Senna's D-sword had gone from her delusion to reality. It's now a great sword that could cut down a person for real. He had pulled me away in time, then bisected from head to toe by that beautiful sword of hers. It meant instant death. Shivers around my entire body. Just now, Senna had unmistakably tried to kill me. Why? I was overwhelmed with confusion. We was eating crunchy coons together the other day. Kozapi had been there with us. True, our relationship wasn't far enough along to call us friends, but... And that even back then, Senna had been acting pretty scary the whole time. But even so, she hadn't hated enough to suddenly come after me with a D-sword.
殺してやる。
Senna raised her head. She glared at me even more intensely than before. The movements were incredibly fast, in spite of the fact that she held a gigantic sword. kicked off the ground like she was starting a 500-meter dash. 500-meter dash? Hardly a dash. The tip of her sword scraped against the ground as she brandished it. Closing the distance between us, she raised the weapon above her head. In that instant, my instincts worked out exactly what type of situation I was in. She was serious. Senna was deathly serious. I my face up a total heap. I let out a shriek. Couldn't run away. None of this made any sense. Putting a game over like this, desperate to run away from Shogun, yet getting surprise attacked by Senna as a result of it. It's far too ridiculous, far too sudden. I didn't want this. I didn't want to die. I really didn't want to die. Oh, man. Yeah. Dash, yeah. Right then. Oh. This thing. Oh. A single silhouette left above me and landed between me and Senna. I could see it was Rimi. She stretched her arms out wide to bar the way of the approaching girl. She put her life on the line just to shield me?
Okay.
She did that. She was gonna die. I didn't want that.
先畑さんには気をつけて。
Suddenly, what Kozumi said before reappeared in my mind. Pale light leaked past Rimi's outstretched arms.
先畑さんはよくわかんないのら。タクに手を出さないで。
Unifying the overflowing light, she placed her arms together. What? No, she has a D-sword. What is going on with this game? Everybody has a D-sword but me? The air warped and shook. Coming seemingly from thin air, flows of shining light burst on Rimi and danced in the surrounding air. And what appeared in her hands? Got a goddamn D-sword. The fuck is this? My guy's like a complete loser.
だと。
What the hell? Please block the fierce downward swing of Senna's gigantic sword.
タクを
Yeah, I'm a no-sword loser. Was all too graceful to be called a sword, all too imperial. Have to be easily mistaken for the wings of an angel. I realized a certain fact. That she, Rimi Sakihara, was a gigolomaniac or gigolomaniac. Gigolomaniac's funnier. Whoa. There's two. As overall with shock, I always sent a look to the face of the girl that stood before her. That winged sword so effortlessly blocked the attack of her D-sword. It was clearly the D-sword itself. The girl she now faced was not accustomed to wielding a D-sword. Not be able to block Senna's attack with such perfect timing.
先畑さんもギガロマニアックスだったのら。
Kozue stared out at the three people from atop the container house as she was a spectator. Her dangling legs swung back and forth again and again. You're acting carefree for someone just ruined my surprise attack, thought Senna, clicking her tongue inside her head. However, despite her moving thoughts, she did not remove her gaze from Rimi's eyes. Her opponent had a brooding look on her face. Takumi Nishijo moaned from behind Rimi, having sunk to the ground in pathetic display. Then his target was ultimately him. She had no intention of fighting with Rimi. Besides, this was no manga nor was an anime, so a D-sword battle was not a particularly realistic thing to occur.
その男が何をしたか知っているのか ?IR2 という公式を。
知ってるよ。
Senna had been interrupted by a quiet, sorrowful yet decisive response. Upon hearing that, Senna tightened the grip on her
そ
D-sword.
れなら
タクを覚醒させればもっと大変なことになる。
Uh-oh.
その前に殺す。
あなたには無理だよ。
Senna decided there would be no point in talking further. She brandished the sword in a lay stance. Before her, Rimi stood readily. What happened to her sword? Takumi Nishijo lay about 5 long strides away from her. At this distance, it would take 3 seconds to resolve things completely. Without hesitation, Senna rushed towards Rimi from the front. In a shape for the girl, she swept her D-sword towards her flank. Rimi attempted to block it like before, but Senna's strike had been a feint. The sword passed through Rimi's sword's Her sword passed through Rumi's sword and body. She had released the real boot. The present Senna's D-sword was no more than a delusion. It could touch nothing, it could cut nothing, it could kill nothing. That had been a very aim. Due to her twisting her body to block the attack, Rumi's reactions would be slowed. Through that time frame, Senna already slipped past her and made it 2 steps closer to Takumi. She wheelboarded the sword once again in an instant. This is it. Takumi faced Senna with eyes of fear. She effortlessly wheelboarded the sword. Her D-sword had once again become real. She went to pierce Takumi's heart.
セナ、
Uh-oh. Who's this guy? Figure flew past the corner of her vision. The instant she heard its voice, the girl was furiously shaken by it. He missed her target. The super sword grazed Takumi's legs and stabbed into the concrete. Senna slowly raised her head,
お前。
let out an angry growl. At the edge of the roof, her form lit by the backdrop of the setting sun, stood a single man, like a phantom among the corporeal. What? His face was pale, deathly so. Some pinks, like the pupils that resided within his sunken eyes were surrounded by bloodshot whites. Head hung toward the concrete, his face without expression. And since Senna saw the man, neither Takumi nor anything else mattered to her anymore. The man Senna had chased after without end. Her sole object of hatred. The man had abandoned her, betrayed his family entirely. That very man now stood before her very eyes.
ようやく見つけた。
Senna took a step towards the man, gritting her teeth to hold back her overflowing hatred. She once again brandished her D-sword. Another step forward.
どうしようもなかった。私は、お前の母さんを生贄に捧げるしかなかったんだ。
What?
黙れ。
母さんの最後、とても安らかなものだったよ。だからセナ、安心してほしい。母さんのおかげで素晴らしい実験結果が出た。母さんは世界のために役立ったんだ。
Oh boy.
お前も母さんの功績を誇っていい。
黙れよ。
Amareo! Blood rushed to Senna's head, rendered her no longer able to see anything other than the man that stood before her. She dashed. Wait, we need to talk to the guy more. He had a lot of information. It happened in an instant. She flew at the man's breast, closed the distance between her, and it then sunk the D-sword deep into its center. That was Senna's long-held desire. She had roamed Shibuya daily for the sole purpose of killing this man. Jumped to the day she would kill him countless times. It never left her mind.
やっと母さんの仇を。
Which removed her sword, which would grant her the opportunity to move away from the man. Before her sword could come free, the man wrapped his arm around Senna and gently embraced her.
ヨゼ、気安く触るな。
Her entire body stood at end. Him doing this now after everything that had happened only served to nauseate her. Long ago in the distant past, the bond of family between Senna and the man had been severed. Even so, for some reason, she had unable to comprehend, and I could not bring herself to throw off the man, an inability that deeply surprised her. His warmth, his large chest, the deeply real presence of her father. Her hands dyed in red.
私はこんなの。
お前が望んだ妄想だ。
望んだ妄想だよ。
What the hell's going on? It's her delusion? She heard that whisper. Senna immediately understood. Errors slipped into dead spots. Psychological attacks, enchantment, in someone's delusions. Senna realized her mistake was already too late. She lost her balance together with the man. Her body was cast off the roof. The center of the ground, the 8 stories below, looked so far away. What? What's going on? What's happening? Unable to comprehend what the hell was going on, all I could do was watch as the scene unfolded. I had to run to the edge of the roof. Oh, I see, that was her delusion. Lost her balance for no reason. I could see. He was about to plunge to the ground right this very second. Body was about to disappear beyond the edge. Without a whisper, I tightly closed my eyes. She committed suicide. Senna intentionally dove to her death. Didn't understand why, as if I could understand. She assaulted me out of nowhere. Serves her right. I'm going to spend yet another enemy. No matter how long I waited, the resounding splat of her body hitting concrete did not come. I Timidly opened my eyes and tried to see what was going on.
あ、
Senna wasn't fallen. Said she was on her knees. Rumi stood right beside her. She was holding Senna's arm. Had Rumi saved her? Senna threw her D-sword away and started crying like a child. The hell was even going on anymore? From my perspective, it looked like Senna had tried to die of her own volition.
辛い思いさせて、ごめんね。
Oh, so that was her delusion thing?
でも、しょうがなかったの。
Rumi had done something to Senna. The usually bright and happy girl I was used to. Like an entirely different person now. A brooding face, sorrowful whispers, quivering eyes. The girl standing over there wasn't the Rumi I knew.
先畑さ
Her voice reverberated in my mind. Kosubi had moved from her position on top of the container house, meaning she was still staring down at us.
ん。もう、終了だよね。もしも、セナさんのこと、ぐしゃばきーってしようとしてるなら、
Hmm?
コズピ、許さないぽん。先畑さんのこと、バラバラにしちゃうよ。
The hell? Chill ran down my spine. Kosubi was speaking with the usual airheaded anime-esque tone of voice. The thing she was saying was deadly serious.
もう終わり。もともと、葵さんのことどうこうするつもりはないし、タクの前から消えてくれるなら、このまま解放する。
Hmm.
それは無理。
Impossible.
だってコズピーとセナちゃんとタクミちゃんはお友達だもん。ねそうでしょタクミちゃん。
Hmm? The gears of my mind refused to move. Someone told me that everything that just happened was a dream. I'd probably believe them just like that. Come to think of it, why had Senna attacked me so suddenly? Why was Senna my enemy after all? Or was she my enemy after all?
お前のせいだ。
And raised her head as she nodded. She sobbed. She made no attempt to wipe away her tears and stayed on the ground where she had fallen to her knees. Her gaze was fixed on me.
お前のせいで、私の家族は。
You killed your family. Kaiser Soze. I was completely bewildered. He was launching nothing but raw emotion at me. What the hell did you think I'd done? I hadn't done anything. I didn't screw with anyone's lives. I certainly don't know anything damn thing about Senna's family. I was harmless as could be.
無害だと。
That's how read my mind. She read my mind.
お前が生み出したものが世界を滅ぼすかもしれないっていうのに。
What? Destroy the entire world? More Chuni shit again? Chuma gazed at Rimi for help. She had her back to us. She stared vacantly at the darkening sky.
無駄だよ。
I figured her voice. The sheer loneliness they gave off merely in my
タ
imagination?
クは何も知らないから。
That statement, Rimi spoke as if she knew everything there was to know.
ふざけるな。今渋谷を襲っている混乱は全部あの公式が発端なんだぞ。
Mila?
それ以上言わないで。タクは本当に何も知らないの。
Sounds of it, she was talking about me. I couldn't follow the conversation at all.
公式ってこれのこと？
Kosubi leapt out from the container house, holding my essay in her hand. I thought, there it is, the back of the essay to me. That's what I doodled on it back in elementary school. IR2, this thing up top. IR2. Chaos infesting Shibuya right now. It started from this? Talk about an absurd accusation. There's no way in hell some random doodle could affect anything, let alone that magnitude. I just doodled the thing on a complete whim, when I was bored or something probably. A long time ago, I didn't remember it that well. I didn't know there was no real meaning behind it. I just copied down from the numbers I'd seen in a dream. The dream related to whose eyes are those eyes, which I'd written about on the front. I used those words all the time, since before I'd written it, whenever I had, it would all take shape in the dreams more and more. And one of those dreams were those numbers.
FUN の10乗かける
1 to the 10th power.
INT の40乗
Times INT the 40th power. Times
IR2
IR2 What does that mean? A while, Senna wiped the tears from her eyes. Now they were deep scarlet. While still on the ground, while still hanging her head down in regret, she formed a
こ
sentence.
の公式をお前が生み出した瞬間、世界は分岐したんだ。
Why?
ノア2に搭載されている中で最も秀でているのは中核システムに組み込まれたとある方程式です。これは人類史上未だ回答が見つかっていないとされているもの。
ミレニアム7のうちの一つかね。
Forgot about those things. Has more been solved since then? I want to look it up now. I mean, 2007, but now it's 20 years after that. Still only one. The fuck? Jesus.
億単位の懸賞金がかけられているという数学界で未だ未解決の7つの問題か。
いいえ、その7つの中には入っていません。
No, it's just
ですが
red herring.
実はミレニアム7はもともと問題が8つあっ
8
た。
problems.
公開前に
was too
1
controversial.
つだけ削除されたのです。
それがノア2に組み込まれている方程式だと。
削除された理由は？
世界に最悪をまき散らす可能性があるためというところです。
It was too crazy in the world.
一体どのような数式なのだ。
基本相互作用における電磁気力を
So, Mr.
想定した共鳴現象。それを表す計算式です。
We're getting hardcore science now. So it's another fundamental force. It involves another one of the 4 fundamental elementary forces of nature. Electromagnetic, gravity, strong nuclear, and weak nuclear forces. This is the 5th. Let's find out about it now.
これにより特定の電磁パルスと受容体とが近接作用することで発現する未知の力が解明されました。
Something between pulses and receptors. It makes no sense. But whatever.
各国が30年以上かけて開発し積み上げてきた沈黙の兵器の研究成果を一瞬にして過去のものとしてしまったんですよ。
その問題に回答を見つけた者は神になるに等しいというわけだ。
They'd be God.
それを君が果たしたというわけかね。
I said I'd take it off. They couldn't release it to the public.
それはとても不思議な場所から見つかりました。子供の落書きという。
That was the formula? No, it was one I wrote randomly. It's ridiculous. It was that simple? Something to the 20th power, something to the 40th power? That's ridiculous.
IR2 ノア2のいわゆるハードウェア部分はこの公式によって神に匹敵する能力を手に入れました。あとは
This is great.
ソフトウェア部分に相当するギガロマニアックスのコードサンプルを集めればノア2は本格的に稼働し我々の望むもの全てを実現してくれるでしょう。
かのアインシュタインが現代に生きていればと思うよ。彼は高い能力を持つギガロマニアックスだった。
Einstein was a gigglomaniac. Just face it right now. He had crazy powers.
家庭の話よりも現状がどうなっているかだ。
That's this. A very formal way of saying we.
ギガロマニアックスは世界中に数えるほどしかいないというではないか。大丈夫なのか。
すでに5人分のサンプルは確保しました。
ノア2稼働に十分な数は集まったようだね。
ならば結果を。
ただ サンプルが多ければ多いほどノア2の能力は向上します。特にどうしてもサンプルを採取したいギガロマニアックスの少年が一人いましてね。
He made that formula.
だからといって計画の遅延は許されんぞ。
ノア2の本格稼働はいつ頃になりそうなのかね。
稼働前に最終実験としてサードメルトを行います。
Third melt. Sardo melto.
また地震を起こそうと？
予測規模は？
想定では関東大震災と同レベル。
Well, oh no, that destroyed Japan. That's not good. Did we see that that footage of the earthquake that hit Japan like a few days ago or like yesterday? There's like they showed like footage from inside a Costco. It's like, oh shit, that is all the worst place ever for earthquakes. I didn't realize that. Yeah, you don't want to be in a warehouse. And there's a warehouse where they have a whole bunch of people in it. It's like, oh no, this shit's stacked up super high and totally vertically.
関東大震災クラスだと？
マグニチュード 7.9 だったかな。
現在の建築基準と免震対策レベルを考えれば町にかつてほどの大きな損害を及ぼすことはないでしょう。
I'd heard they just got Costco's in Japan. It's like, no, you can't. You're not gonna be able to build them. I mean, if you're worried about earthquakes, you really shouldn't build them like stacked up high like that. Like the way they all are, it doesn't really work there.
だが犠牲者の数はファーストセカンドの日ではなかろう。
No shit. No.
およそ5000人ほどといったところです。
5,000 people?
少なく見積もってですが問題が。
Wait a minute. Great Kanto, there were way more than 5,000. Oh, but it's modern though, so yeah, it won't.
責任は貴様が取るのだろうな。
腹でも切って死んでみせますか？これが最終実験です。サードメルトが予定通りの成果を上げたとき、ノア2は完全なる完成を見る。
Alright.
世界の可能性は我らの手の中に。
Time for the third melt.
この公式をお前が生み出した瞬間、世界は分岐したんだ。
I was just writing random shit down.
分岐って
Can't blame me. What, like with routes? This wasn't in Eroge.
タク、もう行こう。話聞く必要なんてないよ。
Remy pulled on my hand, pleading me to go inside my room. Her demeanor oozed feelings of desperation. Remy was afraid of something.
葵さんが言ってることは全部嘘っぱちだし。
嘘はそっちだろ。
葵さん、もう帰って。タクの前から消えてよ。
Who should I believe?
たかが数式になんでそんなに目くじら立てるんだよ。
本当に何も分かってないのか。アインシュタインが唱えた E=MC の事情、これが発表されたことで核兵器が開発されるという未来が生まれたように。
No.
お前の生み出した IR2 もまた E=MC の事情と同じ、いや、それ以上の影響力を世界に与えている。
Steven crazed and equals MC squared.
IR2 は沈黙の兵器を現実のものとした。
沈黙の兵器。
思考盗撮、視覚投影、五感制御。
Isn't that the patent technology Senna told me about before? The one that she was investigating?
ギガロマニアックスは特別。いや、異常ではなくなる。これからはこの忌々しい力を誰もが自由に使えるようになるんだ。IR2 を元に作られた装置によってな。
Everybody will now have powers.
もっとも、その前に一握りの腐った連中に独占され、人々は気づかないうちに家畜同然の立場になるよう洗脳されてしまうだろうが。
No. What I've known about this? On and on about this shit till the end of time. So wouldn't change that I didn't know anything. Even if Senna was speaking the truth. I never would have intentionally tried to make something so horrifying. Not in a million years. It was a doodle I made as a kid. Did anything wrong?
それなら、その、I am to は、
It's supposed to be I am too. Isn't it IR2?
IR2。
それは、ギガロマニアックスの力のことを、キュッピーンって説明したものなんだ。やっぱり、あのおじさんが言ってたのは本当だったのら。一番重要なのは、その目、誰の目を生み出した少年なんだって。
Mm-mm.
それって、たくみちゃんのコートだったんだね。
Kozubi spoke in a carefree tone. Never would act so innocent as she could. Just like me, Rimi also showed no signs of answering. Senna, meanwhile, opened her eyes wide, raised her head with a start. She rose to her feet, staggering. Why was her footing so unsteady? Did it have something to do with what Rimi had done to her earlier?
小杖。お前、
Kozoen?
今
ね
なんて言った？
ホピ
Senna drew closer to the puzzle girl, pressing her for answers.
おじしゃんって誰のことだ？
The guy was just here?
ほんとね、コズピーに理想度の大切さを教えてくれた人。
Oh wait, is that the guy talking to the committee or whatever? The Council of 300, whatever they're called?
東京に来て初めて話した人なの。なんかね、ふぎゅーって鼻つまみたくなっちゃう格好してて、へんてこなこと書いた板持ってたの。
What?
世界は終わるとかとか
Wait, some random homeless guy?
なんでそれを早く言わなかった？
そんなこと言われても。
あいつだ。やっと見つけた。
Me, Rimi, and Kozubi, the three of us, unable to understand what Senna meant, only watched the confusion as Senna's blood-curdling demeanor boiled and bubbled.
私はやっとあいつを殺せる。
Once been a certain experiment. It was an experiment she had known nothing of. She was a perfectly ordinary housewife, and been blessed with a second child in her womb before turning 40. No, perhaps perfectly ordinary might not fit her quite so well. After all, her eldest daughter was already old enough to enter high school, a 15-year gap from the second child. She had slightly worried that her eldest daughter, adolescent that she was, would oppose the pregnancy. However, the exact opposite proved true. Her daughter's heart sang when she heard the news. Her husband, an established scientist, often lost himself in his research and faith, and rarely came home to his family. But when he was home, he always did his best to be a good husband and father, so while she housed him to satisfactions, he never surpassed the love that she had for her husband. The second child was delivered without issue, a healthy girl of 200,579 grams. She named her second child Mana. Soon after, her husband was unfortunately made to transfer far away. Her husband held no capacity to support himself, and with even the most basic of life skills, forced her to ask her stable daughter to go with him and tend to her father's needs. She was now living alone with the newborn Mana, and then opted to move to an affordable company housing as per her husband's plan. She had been initially living in apartments in the suburbs. This made transport inconvenient. The new company house, however, was in the best area of Shibuya, and many of her husband's colleagues' families lived close by. She considered her husband claimed that, because of this, there was no need to worry about in times of need, including when she needed help with the baby. Every room in the company house was spacious, and she particularly favored the bedroom. One wall was home to a large mirror, and the opposite wall an even larger window. From there she could view the luxurious greenery of Yoyogi Park. She then went to quickly befriend a housewife living close by, and received extraordinary treatment from the company, namely being provided a housekeeper. She was proud of her husband to hold such an important position within his company, and allowed her to live in such a luxurious way, and so her life without worries nor dissatisfaction continued. 2 years passed while Mina experienced delayed growth. She grew into a healthy child, all while not contracting any major illnesses. She was a very pampered child. She did not cradle Mana in her arms. The girl would start crying in a voice so shrill that it shattered even the thickest glass. Regrettably, she had fallen ill a month prior. A particularly grave symptom was fierce tinnitus, something she suffered throughout most of the hours of the day. Fortunately for her, the housekeeper and housewife next door were more than willing to assist her in taking care of Mana. Regardless of the help she received, she was essentially joined at the hip with Mana. She was able to part for her even for a moment. Even going to the bathroom, even when taking a bath. The thought were even to cross her mind about having the housekeeper cradle the baby for a short time, Mana would detect those intentions and immediately burst into tears. Contrary to one might surmise, she was actually found in German how much Mana clung to her, but despite the inseparability of the two, she continued to live a life she could never take even a single step outside of her home. Her lifestyle was entirely supported by the housekeeper and the housewife. For her meeting the two had become her true saving grace. How long is this? Jesus Christ. However, over time, something odd began to happen with the two helpers. During a friendly chat in the living room that had occurred within a week prior, the housewife was spontaneously vomited without warning. Paying no heed to the confusion she showed, the housewife then rushed outside. She had not been seen her since, leaving her aware that she had perhaps fallen ill. Concerned, she decided to ask the housekeeper if she could check on her. As the housekeeper left that day, she made a request, concluding with, "I'd love your help tomorrow as well, dear," and yet when the housekeeper heard the words, she suddenly burst into tears, and only not again as she departed. Alright. Tinnitus had been tormenting her, so it became fierce that night, to the point where it felt as if her head might split apart. She tried calling an ambulance, and refused to connect. She tried going outside, asking the neighbor's housewife for help, but even that proved too much for her. But all this, her daughter had continued to cry incessantly, further abrogating the pain. Learning to the terrible pain, she embraced her beloved Mana, as to do so with both the tinnitus and the crying abruptly stopped. Pain had vanished just as suddenly, almost as if it had never been there to begin with. She looked down only to see the child she was now holding was now a mummified corpse. But heavily had been crying until that very moment, the body suddenly became a desiccated, rotting mound of flesh, when they gave off the most repulsive stench. So before she could even realize it was all experiment, her mind broke. Right? It had once been a certain experiment, but an experiment that ran different to how he had hypothesized. Oh, god damn it, dude. He was a scientist at Nozomi Technology, a follower of the Cosmic Church of Divine Light, the man at the center of Nozomi's Church, the confidential Project Noah, and the man that deciphered the formula. He had offered his wife. This is so vague. I mean, how could it be this vague 30 hours into the game? He had offered his wife on the verge of childbirth a test subject for the experiment. That had been an instruction of the founder he revered, just as much as his own suggestion, all to ensure the success of the experiment. It was christened the Mana experiment that couldn't be given to their second daughter. His eldest daughter, 15, was placed in the Cosmic Church, the Divine Light Institution, all while he observed his confined wife and infant child for 24 hours a day. His wife had been led to believe that the place she had resided in was a company house, but in reality it was a test site for Nozomi Technology had prepared. It contained the Noah 2 prototype was developing. Mind reading, visual projection, and control over the five senses in order to research the effects of such practices. He locked his wife and daughter Mana in the site as test subjects. Not much was known about the effects of electromagnetic radiation on the human body, so he very much intended to halt the experiment immediately if his wife or his child showed any strange abnormalities. The experiment was met with an unfortunate accident soon after it began. Mana passed away at 1 month of age, her cause of death unknown. It was an accident nobody could have prevented. He was overcome with sorrow and attempted to bring the experiment to a close, and yet such a thing was not permitted to him.
実に興味深いではないですか。
Those are the words of his employer. His employer was referring to the bizarre sight visible within the experiment. His wife did not seem to recognize Mana's death as real. Instead, treated her remains as if she were still his child. In her eyes, Mana had never died, but in truth, those things were all a simple projection. In reality, only she was privy to. It was the effect of the Noah 2 prototype. In a certain sense, the situation provided an optimal technology to test his capabilities. Consequently, he had his wishes disregarded. Even if eventually he came to think continue the experiment would be best for his wife's sake. Looking upon the one-way mirror, his wife would embrace the corpse of their child and lived every day in blissful happiness. He gazed through the window towards the greenery of Yoyogi Park, but in reality, the window was a mere wallpaper, and the scenery a projection. She simply smiled at the view, all the while gently tending to her child as she cooed. Staff belonging to the research team would take care of his wife, the one playing the role of the neighboring housewife and the other housekeeper. The long experiment continued, her mind would never break. As such, he told himself it was all for his wife's sake. Though in truth, perhaps his mind had broken far before his wife's ever could. At some point in time, his goal had changed from completing Noah 2 to forcing his wife to continue living in such an endless dream. After continuing the experiment for 2 years, his employer suddenly announced an end to the project.
データは十分取れました。ノア2本格稼働は間近です。この実験ももう続ける意味はないでしょう。
He vehemently opposed this, his desperation evident, yet this passion had branded a traitor, and he was subsequently removed from the project. As a gesture of kindness, he was permitted to be present at the test site on the final day of the experiment, albeit with restraints. And with him, his daughter, of whom he had not seen across those full 2 years, was forced to be present. A look of bewilderment rose to her face when she noticed him.
父さん、これはどういうこと？
Oh, I say,
母さんに
Sena's
何を
older
したの
daughter.
母さんが抱いているの一体
He wasn't able to answer. His guilt of what had prevented him from looking his daughter in the eye. Meanwhile, the strict start of a ghastly ritual was drawing near. The housewife had long since been unable to endure Mana's rotting stench. The housekeeper left the site in tears in response to his wife's words. Then the equipment was stopped. The dream ended, and his wife broke. In her eyes, what once was a child suddenly transformed into a mummy. Something about her to scratch at her scalp, tear out her hair, and dig her fingernails into the flesh of her face, and then she began to ravenously devour the desiccated body of her own child. With every tear of her flesh, she began to laugh maniacally, bang her head against the wall, where eventually she took a kitchen knife over the blade into her own eyes and died right there where she stood. The daughter cried and screamed as she watched her mother's perfect end from beyond the one-way mirror. His daughter was taken away by the two researchers, the one taking hold of each arm. He's not even granted the opportunity to pursue his only remaining relative. Oh, now since the time, finally. He blamed himself for everything, believing he'd reaped what he had sowed. Regardless of what his reasons, when he had resolved to continue the experiment 2 years ago, it was obvious how things would end. 3 days after bearing witness to his wife's death, he vanished, and now Inari's soul knew of his current whereabouts. Was that him on the roof earlier? After everything had settled, Senna had gone to interrogate Kozupi about something with bloodshot eyes. After doing that for a bit, she ran off somewhere on her own. Kozupi had chased after her, but I, meanwhile, had just been staying put, still incredibly confused as to why Senna had become so obsessive all of a sudden. Now I was trudging to Shimokitazawa. My parents' house was only a short distance away. Walking from my base took less than half an hour. Could Nami be there? Not as busy as Shibuya itself, the roads of Shimokitazawa were fairly crowded. I was still being hit by the afternoon of the Esper debacle. Namely, some passerby looked at me with mocking sneers, while others even took pictures of me on their phones. Overwhelmed by embarrassment and humiliation, I hurried along the road to home.
ごめんね。
Yumi's eyes were pointed to the ground as she said that. She was walking a bit behind me. The time we spent moving along, she had already repeated those words over 10
黙って
times.
て。ごめん。
No matter how much she apologized, I had no way of answering. Anything about Rimi? Nothing ever changed since we'd first met. And yet, she supported me to stay by my side. But at the end of the day, there was still so much I didn't know about her. Even so, I'd always brush that issue out of my mind. This was something in me knew that she wouldn't stay with me if I knew the truth. That terrified me.
どうして僕と一緒にいてくれるの
Worked up the courage and asked her what was on my mind. Asked the reason why she would stay with a guy like me. Because she was trying to lure me into a trap the entire time, just like Yua had? Yet, despite my suspicions, the answer she gave was nothing of the sort.
あなたに目覚めてほしくないの。普通の生活を送ってほしかった。
You want me to awaken as a gigalomaniac? You know more about me than I did.
一体君は何者なの
私は
Yumi hesitated a little.
私はタクの友達だって思ってる。
ん
友達でいたいな。
In other words, she was telling me to stop pushing? There's no way I could stop there.
僕はギガロマニアックスなの
そうとも言えるし、違うとも言える。
Which was it? Shouldn't have dodged the question?
君は IR2 のこと知ってたの
聞いたことがあるだけ。
Didn't say from who.
セナが言ってたのは本当なの
嘘だよ。
Lies. Tell me it was all lies. It was a lie in of itself. Just from looking at her.
君は
I was about to ask more, but I held my tongue. Are you my enemy or are you my friend? Depending on the answer, I might not have been able to stay with Rimi, so I didn't ask. I pretended that nothing had happened. Fun deceiving myself just as I had been up till now. That way might be easier for me, happier even. Okay, that was what I was going to do. gonna keep being ignorant, keep living a lie told by Rimi. Rimi had saved my ass so many times already. There was no way any harm would come to me if I did that. I deserve to live a normal life, just like she'd said.
ありがとう。
I averted my eyes from her and swapped out my discretion for a few words of gratitude.
守ってくれて。
タク、
Couldn't think of anything else to say, so I just continued walking towards my parents' house in silence. My eyes were eventually at my familiar alleyway. It was a quiet, secluded residential area. Every now and then, I could hear the faint sound of a train in the distance. I noticed this specific chunk of scenery ever since I was a little kid. This is where I'd grown up. I walked to both elementary school and middle school using this alleyway. I headed to the narrow alleyway in front of me, and my house would be right there. I was scared of seeing Nanami again. I had to know for certain whether her arm was still there. I stopped and took a deep breath to calm myself. Right when I was about to start walking again,
待って。
I turned around to see Rimi was on the verge of
どう
tears.
しても行くの。ねえ、行かないで。
What?
もう普通じゃいられなくなるよ。私そんなの嫌だな。
What was that supposed to?
帰ろう。あのコンテナハウスに帰ろう。私タクが望む限りずっと一緒にいるから。それで一緒に学校に行って大臣と3人で他愛もない話をして、帰りに立ち食いそば屋さんとか CD ショップとかに寄って、そうやってこれからもやっていこうよ。
僕はナナミに会わなくちゃ。
いないよ、きっと。
What? How was she so sure? It's just another lie? Something bad happened to me if I went home?
私タクの悲しむ顔見たくない。
What do you say?
もう謎かけみたいなことはやめてよ。
That enough? You tell me to stay ignorant forever? I can't go on like this, pretending like I knew nothing? Of course I couldn't. Every person I knew just kept hitting me with non-stop cryptic nonsense. It never ended. I really did want to say ignorant. I really did.
実家に行っちゃいけない理由があるなら言ってよ。こんな中途半端なのうんざりなんだ。
Sick of it. Have any right to say that? Was I the one who always half-assed everything? Who never said what I really meant? Only one who always ran from everything? Yeah, I was. And more reason to keep just doing that from now until forever. Time to go home. Rimi was right. I didn't need to see Nanami at all. If I was planning on checking whether she had a right hand or not, what the hell would I do if she didn't? Wouldn't that be all my fault? Nanami would hate me, resent me. All it would have done was solidify that I was a pathetic loser that couldn't even save his own little sister. If I left everything up in the air like it was now, I'd have to be loaded with guilt. That was what I'd like to do. It was the optimal choice. Don't look at anything. No matter how many mysteries come your way, ignore them. Shut yourself away from the world.
ほんと世話が焼けるな。ナナがいないと何にもできないんだから。
ダメだ。
Nanami's cheerful voice popped into my head.
ダメだよ。
Run away now. Be able to face Nami for the rest of my life. When we look back home for the rest of my life.
タク、
Touched my face and stepped forward to the narrow alleyway that led to my parents' house. Less than 50 meters away now. First I just speed walked, then I started running. Running toward the house I'd been raised in. 30 meters to go. 20 meters. 10. 0 meters. When I looked at the house I knew, was gone. Wait, how can you tell?
あれ
And the door plate was wrong. It wasn't Nishijo. In fact, the entire shape of the house was wrong. It was far newer and nicer than the home I lived in. I looked around. I wondered if I had mistaken one of the neighboring houses for mine. But I hadn't. Actually, none of the shrine street or lived lined up with my memories. I said that maybe I'd gotten lost or taken the wrong alley, but there was no way that could have happened. I recognized the entire route until now. I knew for a fact I remember the route. My home wasn't the end of it. Taking the path from my memories, the scenery that should have been there hadn't appeared. It was completely unfamiliar to the one instead. Jamayas Vu. What? Should have been a familiar place. Felt like I was setting foot in the fort for the first time.
シャメビューだ。
違うよ。
Rumi stood right behind me. She denied my words immediately.
この世界に。タクの帰る場所は、ないの。
Alright. The sunset illuminated the lone corridor of the hospital. The lights were not turned on in the short period before night fell, rendering it fairly dim. The hammer of German time that before had calmed, and eerie silence descended in this place. Shogun was slowly traveling down the corridor in his wheelchair. The creaking of the wheels echoed throughout the empty hall. Many nurses passed him by, but none spoke to him. Not even so much as glanced his way. Acting as though this was perfectly normal, Shogun continued to spin the wheels with his hands, emaciated skin as bone as they were. He passed in front of one of the rooms. A male patient known as Yamai called out to him, pointed him with his index finger, shouting a frantic cry. Together with Yamai, the nurse had a face of complete befuddlement.
ほら、アミちゃんが帰ってきたよ。またお外に出かけてたんだ。いけないんだ。
誰もいませんよ。
The nurse looked around, then looked at the man with a forced smile on her face. By the fact that Shogun was passing through the corridor right before her very eyes, the nurse spoke as if there was no one there at all.
また山井さんは私のことからかってるんでしょう。でも今日は騙されませんからね。
アミちゃん、ラウミちゃん、タウミちゃん。
I became increasingly worked up as he continued to cry out. Shogun simply ignored him and silently turned right at the end of the hallway. Oh no. The wall had been cream colored to that point suddenly changed to black. And even though the wall stood right in front of him, Shogun did not halt his wheelchair. He went through it! And when he was about to collide with it, the black wall suddenly vanished. It literally had vanished. After the wall disappeared, a hidden corridor appeared from beyond this past terrain. Damn, my guy didn't go through it. All I had to do was walk up to it. Shogun continued straight through it. He traveled another 20 meters before he finally reached the true dead end. The dead end was a lone door to a hospital room. Shogun opened the door and headed inside. It was a phantom hospital room, the ghost story whispered about for many years, the tale of the room nobody knew of. The person hospitalized within it, and written above the nameplate was... God, no! God damn it, I've been in the hospital the whole time. Behind the secret wall. God damn it. At least that explains a lot. In the train windows, an indigo blue could be seen permeating the sky. Trains of the Yamanote line grew chaotic as businessmen and students alike made their way back to their homes. Two of its passengers, Yua Kusunoki and Ban Yasuji, stood shoulder to shoulder as they shook along with the commuting train, holding onto its hanging straps for stability. Admittedly an odd pair, and perhaps due to how much they stood out, Yua had a feeling constant gazes coming from all around her. I stand to reason that this is why she was repeatedly fidgeting with her hair and glasses. She still was not yet acquainted with Detective Ban to strike up a casual conversation with him. She only met him a few days prior, after all. Shinjuku was only a single station away from Shibuya, and yet the 3 minutes it took to reach there felt hopelessly longer than any they should have. Ban simply stood silently, gazing out the window. He made no attempt to speak with Yua. Yua's current impression of Ban was that he did not seem to be a bad person, but that he was still somewhat frightening. He met other detectives that were on the case, involving her sister, but none of them had left an especially good impression. Perhaps they left her with an unconscious prejudice against detectives, and by extension, Ban. Or, so she had concluded in her introspection.
だから地下15階の番人倒せば隠しダンジョン行けるだろ。常識的に考えて。
Damn you, Otaku 1.
万人どこにいるかわからんなり。
Since the two of them had boarded the train at Shinjuku Station, the men at the station near the door had been talking in excessively loud manner. Regardless of her desires, Yua was forced to listen to those two talking loud as could be, without an ounce of consideration for those around them.
マップの左端の方だよ。一目でわかるだろ。番人。
っていうか、万人と警官の区別つかないぞなもし。
いやいや、どう見ても番人だろ。どこが警官なんだよ。番人は銃持ってねえよ。
Both of them wore plain clothes, bandanas, fingerless gloves, bulging rucksacks on their backs. The two are a pair of so-called otakus. Yua herself was interested and thus consumed both anime and manga. Not their appearances that left her surprised. She'd simply never been to Akihabara before. It was her first time seeing a stereotypical otaku, complete with the clothes and everything. Realizing her curious glances were quite rude, she quickly averted her eyes. Seated directly in front of her, a high school girl with brown hair and a navy blazer was typing in a message on her cell phone. Her gaudy artificial nails tapped the screen rapidly. Every time her fingers moved, the cell phone strap on a pistol swung back and forth. Naturally, you would see the contents of her message, though this was not through any fault of her own, however. The girl was holding her phone horizontally, giving everyone around her free rein to see everything she wrote. So easy to see, in fact, that almost she wanted Yua to see it. Oh my god. So maybe in high school girl herself, Yua could not bring herself to grasp the contents of the message. It was possible that could have been Gyaru speak to her. It looked like nothing short of a coded message. All of a sudden, the voice of a child rang out through the train's interior. Startled, Yua turned towards the source of the sound. A lone boy, about 5 years of age, stood right beside Ban. He held a squirt gun in his hand, its muzzle pointed straight at Ban. The boy even pulled the trigger, but no water came from the end of it. Ban gave the child this big smile, his eyes, meanwhile, told a different story. I respect the message Ban attempted to convey. The child showed no intention to stop him.
ノブ君やめなさい。
A woman, likely his mother, rushed to their son's side. She turned towards Ban and politely bowed.
すいません。バーンバーン。ノブ君やめなさいって。
The mother scolded her son in an attempt to make him stop. Her reprimand never extended beyond verbal. She did not take the water gun from him, nor did she attempt to grab his hand.
バーンバーンバーン。
All right, settle down.
本当にすいません。
ああ、構いませんよ。
バーンバーンバーン。
Is your kid slow or something? What's going on here?
おじさんが困ってるでしょう、ノブ君。
Yua, the scene seemed very unnatural. Mother was clearly angry at her child and showed an apologetic demeanor towards Ban. That was the only thing normal about it.
バーンバーンバーン。やめなさい、怒るわよ。バーンバーンバーン。
Boy remained completely different and unresponsive, simply choosing to repeat the same word over and over again. Yet despite his inaction, the mother made no attempt to stop him with anything other than words.
本当にすいません。バーンバーンバーン。
For some reason, Ban simply sat there and let the boy do as he pleased.
バーンバーンバーン。
And the scene continued on until they arrived at Shibuya Station. Upon coming to a full stop at the station, the train doors opened. The mother and son showed no signs they intended to disembark. Relieved, Yua exiled onto the platform with Ban. Taking a peek at his expression, saw a clearly forced smile sitting upon his
お
face.
急ぎ中のお客様にお知らせいたします。地下鉄番号門線。失礼しました。半蔵門線は人身事故の影響でただいま振り替え運転を行っております。
Ban fell.
お客様には大変ご迷惑をおかけして申し訳ございません。
最近よく感じるんだが。
A crowd of people came and went through the platform as Ban walked through, along with that crowd, towards Hachiko Gate. He began whispering to Yua.
まるで不特定多数の人間にストーカーされてるような気がするんだよな。
どういうことですか？
さっきみたいなことがよくあるって話さ。周囲の人間の何気ない行動がまるで自分への嫌がらせじゃねえかって思えてくるわけ。
They're everywhere. They're all out to get me. Even you. This was the reason why Ban showed no reaction to the boy's mischief. Events such as those, the ones that did not present much trouble, were becoming an everyday occurrence for him. As he began picking up on it, it made him difficult to stay of sound mind.
まあ、考えすぎだろうが、俺みたいな地味なおっさんに興味があるやつなんてそうそういねえだろうし。
Not the GE abnormalities, dude.
ただ、集団ストーカーってのは確かに存在するんだよな。
普通のストーカー行為とは何が違うんですか？
被害を受けてる側からすると、相手の意図や目的、正体すら全くわかんねえんだ。ただ、誰かに行く先々、毎日のように様々な嫌がらせを受けていると感じる。集団ストーカーってのはそういうもんだ。
ただの考えすぎっていう可能性は？
十分にあり得るだろうな。脅迫観念と紙一重だ。俺の場合はそうでもなさそうなんだけどな。ここ数日は相手もかなり直接的な手段に出てきてやがる。 手を引けって脅迫する匿名の電話が何度かかかってきてね。
Uh-oh. For some reason, Bond left as he told her that. Io, however, was frightened and wrapped her arms around herself in an attempt to bring her comfort.
それ、大丈夫なんですか？
なあ、デカにはよくあることさ。
Upon saying that, Bond immediately stiffened his expression and looked at Yua.
ユアちゃんは最近そんなようなことはないのね？
はい。ないと思います。
身の回りでちょっとでも違和感を覚えることがあったらすぐにおじさんに言ってくれ。ユアちゃんの身の安全を守るのは警察の仕事だからな。
Didn't know if you're having bad luck.
はい。
After listening to his words, Yua realized she was involved in something far more dangerous than she could have imagined.
あなたは妄想の存在なんだよ。
Voice was a whisper. Remy said something nonsensical. I don't know what she'd said. I glanced at the various houses around me. This place well rooted in my memories, and this place I couldn't seem to recognize. What's up, Pseudo? Yeah, quit bothering me. Houses that should have been there were nowhere to be seen. Houses that should have been there were all I could see. Yep. The disparity between what I knew in my memories and the real scenery surrounding me was getting wider and wider.
ずれてなんかない。
And those thoughts aloud, I desperately denied the despair welling up in my heart. Yeah, there wasn't any gap, not in the slightest. I'd just taken a wrong turn. This wasn't the right street. Just a misunderstanding on my part. There's nothing wrong with the world. To think otherwise would be ridiculous. Nice, Timber Brad. Stumbling my way back down the street where I'd come from, burst into the neighboring alleyway. Just as I feared, between my memories and what I actually saw, something fell out of place. This my entire body was soaked in sweat. My eyes refused to focus. My feet didn't feel well secured to the ground. All those feelings began to hit me with an intense wave of nausea.
なんでだよ。ここに僕の家があるのは間違いないんだ。僕はいつもここから小学校にも中学校にも通ってたんだ。小学校にはナナミと手をつないで登校してたし、中学は自転車で。
どこの中学校？
Remy had been following me, quietly asked a simple question. Uh-oh.
どこって？
I don't know the name of it. All my memories are fake.
なんていう学校？
そんなの決まってるじゃないか。地元の。
It's,
あれ、
I can remember. I got in middle school, I had clear memories of it, but I couldn't remember any of the finer details. There's some intense haze was covering my mind. The name of my middle school, which class I'd been part of, or even the name of my homeroom teacher. No specific names came to me.
そんなはずないんだ。ただ、忘れてるだけで。
タク、聞いて。あなたの記憶にあるのは、この場所に家がある、じゃなくて、
Uh-oh.
この場所に家があるはずっていう思い込み。そうでしょ？
Uh-oh. Sandy was hanging on by a thread.
だって僕はここに来るまでの道は覚えてるんだぞ。おかしいじゃないか。
それは作られた記憶だから。
No. We went to this place. It's called Recall. So I don't know. Stop making that face. Remy's eyes were pointed straight at the ground, and she looked terribly sad. Then looking at me, she just continued saying the most confusing, nonsensical things that once again I didn't understand. Things that were impossible to understand, so I stopped
タ
trying.
クは中学には通ってないの。
わかったぞ。これドッキリでしょ。そうなんでしょ。きっとあれだ。そう、リミとナナミが実は知り合いとかで僕を二人して騙そうとしてるんだ。なんだ。そうか。ビビった。
Trying to laugh it off. Remy didn't so much as chuckle.
ごめん。私、これからあなたを傷つけることを言わなくちゃ。
Uh-oh.
タク、あなたはね、本来いちゃいけない存在なんだよ。
What? Don't even exist?
嘘つくな。
You're just trying to deceive me. Remy was my enemy, just like all the others.
貼り付けはリミの仕業だな。
that was true, then what happened at the crime scene when I first met her hadn't been a delusion. The true culprit behind Nugent wasn't the man I'd seen on the hospital TV earlier today. It was Remy. She had monitored me the entire time. She knew I witnessed everything, so refused to let me out of her sight. And also, I wouldn't ever tell anyone else what I'd seen. That was the sole reason she bothered staying with me all this time.
君あの時血まみれだった。だから君が犯人だ。
あれはあなたの望んだ妄想。ギガロマニアックスの妄想はね、強すぎる場合時に混じり合うの。妄想がシンクロするんだ。
Synchronized. Calmly, while she was talking to herself, Remy spoke. And her composure only served to piss me off even more. What?
少なくともあの時、あの場所では4つの妄想がシンクロしてた。タクと、私と、ニュージェネの犯人と。
信じるもんか。
Before she continued, I cut her off. Then I covered my ears and closed my eyes.
これは妄想だ。そうだよ、妄想なんだ。いつもしているみたいな。
これ以上、妄想しちゃダメ。
Does nothing. Mind still trying to delude itself was forcibly ripped back to reality by Remy's words.
出ないと私、タクを消さなくちゃいけなくなる。
殺すの？
Chill ran down my spine. The perception of Remy, the girl I thought would save me, was rapidly spiraling. Now she turned to someone completely unrecognizable.
殺すんだな。やっぱり君が殺人犯なんだ。
So why did she look so... Biting her lip as she fought back tears, hanging her head as low as she could be. I'll maybe hesitant to accuse her of anything. Tell me it's all a lie, tell me it's a prank so we can laugh it off. You know, we can go back to how it used to be between us. I want to go back.
だったら僕は何なの？
ギガロマニアックスの妄想によって作られた人間かな。
バカらしい。僕にはちゃんと記憶があるんだ。中学の頃の細かい記憶は思い出せないけど、忘れちゃっただけで。
あなたが生まれたのは1年半前なの。
What? A year and a half ago? I've been right when I started high school.
だったら僕は1歳半の赤ん坊っていうことじゃないか。バブ言ってなくちゃおかしい。
タクは生まれた瞬間からタクだった。
What?
君がその目で見たって言いたいの？確かに僕らは1年半前から友達だったらしいね。僕は覚えてないけど。
私とあなたが会ったのは1ヶ月前。
Oh no, that is what happened.
貼り付けの現場。私はもともと水明の生徒じゃないから。
Remy was a complete schizo, complete utter schizo, just like all the others. No, just not schizo, super schizo. She was a tier not even Senna or Ayase could hope to match.
誰が僕を妄想したの？言ってみてよ。
西条匠くんだよ。
入ったアウト。僕が妄想なんでしょ。その僕が妄想して僕を作ったって矛盾してるじゃないか。はい、論破終了。
He's just trapped in the room.
それとも君の妄想？君が勝手に作り出した君だけの脳内設定なんでしょ。僕はそれに巻き込まないでよ。
私だってタクには知ってほしくなかった。ここにも来てほしくなかった。もっと強く引き止めればよかったね。
Then, gathering her resolve, Remy raised her head and looked straight at me. Her eyes glimmered with sincerity. It didn't seem like she was lying. She felt entirely genuine.
ここまで来たら本当のことを知ってもらった方がいいと思う。
It wasn't the truth. It was all a lie. It had to be. Otherwise, my last thread of sanity would snap. Besides, who'd ever believe someone would suddenly decide to hit them with the, oh yeah, BT dubs, you're a delusion.
あなたの行動が他の人の命を削っていくんだって知ってもらった方が。
そうだ。ナナミは僕が妄想だったら僕と血が繋がってるナナミも両親も妄想ってこと？そんなの無茶苦茶。
ナナちゃんはいるよ。
When Rumi talked about her, it was almost like she knew her.
ナナミを誘拐したのは君なの。
似たようなものかもね。私は、タクを守ることに気を取られすぎて、ナナちゃんが狙われる可能性を考えてなかった。私は、誘拐犯のこと、知ってる。
There was a demon girl. I was right. I'd always been right. Rumi's the only one I'd ever wanted on my side. Even though I'd always believed that, always been something more than enough reasons to doubt her. Yet, even so, I'd feigned ignorance and simply trusted that she'd keep her promise to stay by my side. But despite all that, just like Yua, Rumi was...
君も僕を裏切るんだね。
そうだね。私は、タクを裏切った。隠し事をたくさんしてた。ごめんね。私のこと、恨んでいいよ。
謝られたって。僕は信じない。信じられない。
Despite my words, it was impossible for me to prove that I was real. All the supernatural things I'd seen up until now flashed in my mind. As I know, I just couldn't laugh off her words as some insane asshole. What the hell? I thought that, Rumi slowly began to approach me and then embrace me, taking completely by surprise. I surrendered myself to her. I could feel her warmth. She had saved me. She had saved my soul. She taught me nothing but kindness. And now, despite being the center of her embrace, her warmth could not have been felt more distant.
そろそろ、行かなきゃ。
行くって、どこへ？
ナナちゃんをさらった誘拐犯のところ。決着つけなくちゃいけないの。ナナちゃんのことも他のことも。このままだとタクも守りきれないし。
そんなの無責任だ。僕にここまでひどいこと言っておいて逃げるの。
Rumi started inching away from me. One step, then another. Slowly, she distanced herself.
戻ってくるから。タクは部屋にいて。そしたらまた、一緒にいろいろ楽しいお話ししよう。あなたは、あそこに、いてもいいんだよ。
Such a gentle tone. Though she'd said all those cruel things, why still be so nice to me?
一つだけ、約束。もう、妄想はしない。ね。タクの妄想力はとっても強いから、妄想すればするほど、本物のあなたの命が削られていっちゃうんだ。
何を？
それじゃあ、また明日。
No delusions this whole time?
石。
Rumi struck a pose, leaving me with one of the most unnatural smiles on her face. Now I'd been more forced. Only a moment later, from her eyes, quiet tears began to fall. Rumi frantically turned her back to me. As her shoulders started to tremble, she ran away. I having been left behind in a stupor, sank helplessly to my knees.
本物の僕ってなんだよ。僕は偽物じゃない。
All color vanished from the world. All hope I'd once had was gone. My very existence had been denied. There's no meaning for me being here. Not even my death held any meaning. Rumi had left me leaving behind a meaningless husk. She was my enemy. She deceived me. Now I've considered peace. She probably lost her final remaining reason to be with me.
戻ってくるはずない。
Rumi had abandoned me, but of course she had. I was a delusionary existence. According to her, a monster. Forget it. Didn't care anymore. No willpower to even stand up. I just stayed there. Still unable to organize my thoughts, unable to have crying due to sheer shock. Twilight wind robbed me of all warmth. Very little remained of Rumi's faded completely. I looked up to the sky for no particular reason. I gazed at the sunset. Sunset that had been completely eroded by the dark of night.
"これが新作？またへんてこね。
Almost I smiled. She stared fixedly at the Garrel Froggy keychain Bond had just purchased.
でも可愛いじゃない？
そりゃ新作じゃねえよ。先週出たなんだっけ。
Bond glanced over at Yua as if pleading for help.
涙目ゲロカエルンです。
ああ、そう。それ。
ごめんね、ゆあちゃん。こんなむさ苦しいおじさんに付き合わされて大変だったでしょう。
い
ひでえな、ももちゃん。こんなダンディーな中年はなかなかいねえぜ。
Bon's half joking protest. Who's gonna picture date? President Frisia served Yua some tea. Having a deep sigh, Bon sat down in a chair and glanced around the office. Employees of Frisia, who usually work well into the night, returned home on time today. Each worker's schedule was arranged to tell his exact tale on the whiteboard. Thanks to their departures, despite the sun having only just set, the office was completely silent, as if it were the dead of night.
で、ももちゃん、進行のこと調べてくれたかい？
Before riding the train from Shinjuku, Bon had called Momose in advance and asked her to look into Faithworks.
その前に
Still on her face, Momose glanced over at Yua, who was sipping from her teacup.
ゆあちゃん、お茶を飲んだら帰った方がいいわ。日も暮れたし、
What?
ご両親が
Tell me
心
about
配するでしょ。
Faithworks. Yua realized what the intent behind Momose's words were. Another conversation that would soon take place was not meant for Yua's ears.
私のこと心配してくれているんですか？
ええ、そうよ。
Momose nodded with a serious look on her face. Although thankful for her consideration, Yua shook her head definitively in response.
私帰りません。みやちゃんの死の真相に近づくためなら何だってするつもりです。
あなたはこれ以上関わるべきじゃないわ。
私もとっくに当事者の一人です。
An imposing and wind resolve dwelt within Yua's words. Momose was perplexed at the unexpected opposition.
意外と頑固ね。
ま、ここでのけ者にするのも酷ってもんだろ。いざとなったら警察で保護するさ。
Momose was forced to sigh in response to Bon's nonchalant attitude.
バンちゃんにそんな権力があるのかしらね。
ま、こう見えても一応天下の警視庁捜査一課所属だからな。
あら、そう。これから聞くことは絶対に口外しちゃダメよ。これはあなたの命にも関わることだから、それを肝に銘じてね。
はい。
Yua nodded, her expression far stiffer than before. Upon seeing that, Momose sighed once more, then proceeded to take a seat. Momose, hunching her already rotund body forward, operated the mouse connected to her laptop.
で、進行から何が出たんだい？
バンちゃんの予感的中って感じね。
They're a cult. Both Bon and Yua appeared to the monitor from behind Momose.
有限会社新興の親会社はのぞみテクノロジーよ。
Oh. Nozomi.
のぞみテクノロジー？
のぞみグループか。こいつは驚きだな。
新興は5年前にのぞみグループに吸収合併されたんだけど、それ以降発売した商品が次々と大ヒットしてるのよ。ゲロカイルンだけじゃないの。中国製バッグとかタイ製のエコバッグとか美脚パンツとかで、この会社は商品の売り出し方が独特なの。いつも週末に新製品を一斉に投入するのよ。
Weekends, the words stuck out especially to Bon.
G レートとの関係は？
GE rate goes up on weekends.
必然にしろ偶然にしろ、新興の商品がヒットしているのは GE レートの変動の影響ね。それは確かよ。前に見せた GE レートのグラフ覚えてる？ 5 年ぐらい前からずっと毎週末に値が上がってるって言ったわよね。新興がのぞみグループに合併された時期とぴったり一致するわ。
新興がレートを操作してると思うか？
新興自体はそんなに大きな会社じゃないから、それは無理よ。
となると親会社のぞみが怪しいな。グループ総出で取り組めばレート操作だってできそうじゃねえか。
待って、のぞみの方はもちろんだけど、新興が興味深いのはそこだけじゃないの。
What?
設立当初の資料にまで遡ってみたら、
すごい大物が出てきたのよ。
大物？
井ノ原幸三。
はっは。明和党の重鎮じゃねえの。
新興設立当時はまだ民自党在籍時代だけどね。
つながってきたな。太田教授の時、それとこの前の地震の時、明和党は G レートに関係ありそうな件について報道規制の圧力をかけてきてる。
G レートのグラフのことだけど、いろいろ調べてたら他にも面白いパターンを見つけたわ。
Now, there were two aspects about the GE rates that Momose had our attention on. First, the fact they consistently rose each and every weekend. Maximum values, they're not particularly notable, but aside from New York's New Year's, Golden Week, and the Bond Festival, always went up without fail. Second, the drastic rise, fall, and earthquakes. Both earthquakes 2 months ago, in which there were 8 fatalities, quake one week ago, in which there were more than 300 fatalities, GE Road had shown an extreme upsurge for a short period of time.
で、3つ目のパターン。この5年で4回だけ起きてるわ。時期はどれもまちまち。上昇値は地震の時ほどじゃないけど、結構高いの。最初はこれが何を意味してるのかわからなかったんだけど、調べていくうちにこの5年で4回と符合するイベントに行き着いた。
イベント？
もったいぶらずに教えろよ。
選挙よ。衆参合わせて4度行われた選挙日と、その4回の GE レート上昇の日は完全に同じだったわ。
What? Bond stroked his unshaven chin with a stern look on his face.
野党だった明和党が大躍進を遂げて与党になった選挙は
4年前ですね。
そして井ノ原幸三が民自党を電撃的に離党して明和党に移ったのは5年前。
Happy silence hung in the air from the three of them.
なんだか私、お話を聞いていたら怖くなってきました。
Voice trembled slightly as she murmured.
私もびっくりだわ。ここまでキーワードがぴったり当てはまるなんてね。
まだ状況証拠でしかないがな。それでも GE レートのことを知っていたからこそ気づけたわけだ。知らなかったらさっぱりだったろ。
As he said that, Bond nonchalantly retrieved his favorite handheld fan and began waving it at himself.
ところで、俺が調べた女子高生の生態について話していいかい？
What? Momose, bewildered by Bond's sudden change of topics, stared daggers at the detective.
ねえ、いきなりそんなくだらないこと言い出すんじゃないわよ。ゆあちゃんがいるんだから少しは考えなさい。
ねえ、そう言うなって。
Smirk colored Bond's face, but his eyes did not match such a sentiment.
青いセナについてだ。正しくは畑野セナと言うべきか。
Oh boy.
なぜか最近になって母親の旧姓を使い始めたんだよな。その畑野セナの父親、畑野一世は今失踪して行方不明らしいんだが、のぞみテクノロジーの元社員なんだよ。
He made his wife eat her baby.
どういうこと？
どういうことも何も。
He's got to lay low now. People don't like him. Nozomi Technology was a company that primarily developed software for use in medical equipment. The Nozomi Group had began with Nozomi Technology, but the repeated mergers and acquisitions had become one of Japan's top leading conglomerates.
半年前、畑野セナの母親と生後1年の妹が謎の死を遂げている。父親の失踪はその直後だ。畑野セナ本人もそれと前後して当時預けられていたとある施設を脱走するって騒ぎを起こした。
施設ですか？
天神寮っていう非営利の自立更生支援施設だ。表向きはな。
表向きってじゃあ裏があるの？
スポンサーがいるのさ。 これが天聖信仰会だったりする。
No, not the cult.
天聖信仰会。
Almost a grimace at those words, then spoke once more, tone now clearly exasperated.
また面倒な名前が出てきたわね。
ちなみにその天神寮は2年前まで別の名前だった。
Apologies, that kid on suicide watch for making it worse. I know, yeah. Jesus.
アークハートメディカル会。どんな偶然か今や渋谷の若者のカリスマ的存在であるフェス、岸本綾瀬もここに入れられていたんだな。
Wait, what is this? Oh, they're from the church.
畑野瀬名とは入れ違いだったみてえだな。
On then leaned forward towards Momose and Yua.
でだ。ここからが興味深いんだが。
What?
アークハートメディカル会は天神寮と違ってメンタルケア施設だった。精神病患者を治療してたんだ。ところが2年前、アークハートメディカル会は突然非営利団体の自立更生支援施設天神寮へと姿を変えた。それによって精神科医が一斉に解雇されたんだが、その医師たちを丸ごと雇い入れたのが代々木にある AH 東京総合病院だった。
ノータリン事件で殺された人が勤めていたのってそこの病院でしたよね。
ああ、高階文夫。確かに AH 東京総合病院の精神科医だ。ついでに言うとそこの病院長は井ノ原と懇意らしいぜ。
また井ノ原議員ね。
ゆあちゃん、君が追ってた西條匠も実は AH 東京総合病院をこの1ヶ月で3回訪れてる。
そうなんですか？
警察がずっと尾行してたんでね。確かだ。しかも西条には数年前にその病院に入院した記録まであった。彼の主治医は高階文夫だ。
Oh, he's gone too.
不思議なのは西条の入院記録なんだよな。彼は10歳で入院して約2年後にその記録が途切れてるんだが。
He's gone too? Wait a minute. What about isn't he, so they don't know about him being in the hospital because behind that weird wall?
退院した記録はなかった。
Oh.
誰かが改ざんしたのかしら。
どうだかな。そこまでは調べが回らなくてね。
Yes, maybe he is still stuck there.
ああ、それと畑野瀬名に関してもう一つ。最近彼女がよく行動を共にしている折原梢って生徒がいる。1ヶ月ほど前に転校してきた西条のクラスメートなんだが、この子も結構な曰くつきなんだ。折原の父親がのぞみグループの系列会社社員なわけ。元は広島の方に住んでてな。折原梢の同級生3人が何者かに襲われて重傷を負うって事件が起きた。3人ともが右腕を鋭利な刃物で切断されて。
What? I cut off all the right arms?
折原もその場に居合わせていた。彼女が犯人じゃねえかって疑いがかかったんだが、凶器が存在しないって理由で逮捕はされてない。それで地元に居づらくなって引っ越したって噂もある。
凶器が存在しない？見つからないじゃなくて？
ああ、存在しないだ。何で切られたのかさえ分かってない。犯行は折原以外には実行できない状況だった。だがたとえ折原が犯人だとしても凶器をどこからか取り出すこともどこかに隠すことも不可能だった。かまいたち現象じゃないかなんて本気で議論されたぐらいだ。
何もないところから剣を取り出す手品。
Amatachi phenomenon.
かもしれねえな。
気味が悪いです。
Yua, as they're trying to stop herself from trembling, hunched down towards her knees, then began to shrug both of her arms with their hands.
何かとても大きな意志が働いているような。
職業柄俺は陰謀論なんざ信じちゃいねえんだが、今回ばかりはその存在を信じそうになるね。
Leave him now.
明和と、そしてのぞみグループ。G レートに関係してると思われるのはその2つか。
Trying to get votes.
天聖振興会も叩けば埃が出てきそうね。もともとあまりいい噂は聞かないし。
Tipping some of her team mostly shrugged her shoulders.
バンちゃんには呆れるわ。本来の仕事をほったらかしにしてこんなことを調べてたなんて。
元はといえばももちゃんが G レートのことを教えてくれたのがいけないんだぜ。
そうだけど、それで捜査本部から外されちゃったら世話ないわ。本当に不器用なんだから、あんたって人は。
Those words were neither those of astonishment nor of condemnation, but rather a fairly roundabout way of praising him. Momose, despite her words, acknowledged Ban in his pursuits.
おっと、電話だ。
Ban cell phone loud an electronic tune. Looking at the display, he saw the caller was a restricted number.
もしもし。
Now the static appeared from the other end of the call. Ban took his phone away from his ear and looked at the display once more. His connection was good, so likely wasn't so he was likely not the issue. Must have been the caller causing the problem. Ban brought his ear close to the phone, believing the call was coming from someplace far away.
おい、誰だ？
Uh-oh. Shogun. It was an anonymous threatening call the phone calls have been receiving recently. The mechanical sounding voice is likely due to the use of a voice changer. Ban let out an audible laugh before proceeding to answer.
あんたか。いい加減名乗ってくんねえかな。手を引けって言われてもな。そもそも何から手を引きゃいいんだ？そこを具体的に言ってもらわねえと。
I was hung up there after saying back off twice. The pattern repeated itself so often it was practically routine. No matter how much Ban tried to speak to them, there was never an answer. But on this day, that would finally change. Uh-oh.
ああ
What?
誰だ？
Oh, they got Suwa. Upon hearing that, Ban finally understood Suwa's voice was on the other end of the call.
諏訪か？誰にやられた？今どこにいる？
わからないっす。黒い目出し帽って。
That ski mask. Uh-oh.
相手は一人なんだな。おい、大丈夫なのか？
助けて。先輩、自分は AH と。
That AH to the hospital.
おい、諏訪。
No matter how much Ban called out to him, there was no response to the other end of the call. Look of his tongue, Ban hung up. Mose and Yuo were looking at Ban with intense
スワ
concern.
ちゃんに何かあったの？
Ban sat up, then Lily slapped his cheeks twice.
諏訪が人質に取られた。どうやら AH 東京総合病院にいるみてえだ。
まさか名和と？
ああ、わかんないが、このままじゃまずい気がする。
応援を頼んだ方がいいわ。
大ごとにしたらそれこそ諏訪の命はねえよ。俺一人で様子を見てくる。
Ban placed his favorite handle fan on top of the table close to Momose's, where Momose's hands rested. Following this, he took a good long look at each of the girls. Each demeanor was like that of entirely different persons. The unreliable middle-aged detective that he often played was nowhere to be seen. All there was now was an intense, fearless expression on his face.
ももちゃんとゆあちゃんもどこかに身を隠せ。わかったな。
There was no will on my legs moved the direction of my base. They're heavy, so heavy in fact I wondered if my heels were packed with lead. It wasn't just my legs, my entire body felt heavy. Despite how hard it was to move, I kept telling myself there was proof my body existed. That was not an illusionary existence. The sun had already set, to me there was no one in the city to pay any attention to me as I staggered through the streets. Or now I would push everyone out of the way, tell them not to look at me. I was scared of getting too much attention or being a laughing stock. Even though I'd done that for so long, right now I just wanted anyone to look at me. I wanted someone to look at me in their eyes. I wanted someone to acknowledge that I was here. That was the Deus Ex Machina I needed. But no one did. If I randomly yelled out something, I'd probably get looks of disdain. But I didn't wish the willpower to go through with that. Within my sweaty hands, my cell phone, the one I came out to buy with Nanami. I only had 4 numbers registered on it: Rimi's cell phone, Nanami's cell phone, Mizumi-kun's cell phone, and the numbers from my parents' house. I desperately to think of a way to prove that I wasn't fake with just those 4 numbers.
あなたは妄想の存在なんだよ。
No, I wasn't illusionary existence. I was real. I was Nishijiro Takumi, or Takumi Nishijiro. I was 17 years old. I was the second year at Suimei Academy. I was in a family of 4. I was...
助けて。僕を証明して。
Youth were chattering. No audible clacking sound. I wasn't cold whatsoever, and yet I trembled all the same.
助けてよ。
And the 4 numbers I had, I chose Misumi-kun's.
Huh. ミス。
ダークだろ？どうしたんだ？リミとうまいこと言ったか？ちゃんと童貞卒業できたんだろうな。感謝しろよ。気を使って2人にしてやったんだからよ。
Sumiko was the same as ever. That at least brought me some relief. He did know me, recognized me as Takumi Nishijo. So I wasn't illusionary existence. Rimi just been lying. I knew it.
そういえば、ついさっき美奈子から言われたんだけどよ。
え？美奈子。
ああ、俺の女。で、美奈子が言うんだよ。ここ1ヶ月ぐらい、日常と急に仲良くなったけど、なんでって。こいつ何言ってんだって最初は思ったんだけど、そもそも俺、普通だったらお前みたいなやつとは絶対関わろうとしねえんだよな。リミを通して知り合ったってのは、なんとなく記憶にあるんだけどよ。細かいことはなぜか思い出せねえんだよな。
The same situation I experienced earlier. Stop it, I don't want this. Don't say anything else, please. You just talked about girls like you always do, so why did you have to...
お前さ、いつ俺とダチになったんだっけ?
Oh no. Got too freaked out, so I instantly hung up. So we became friends when the game started too. I felt like I was about to cry, and yet no tears came. So I felt like my heart was being torn to shreds. Next, I tried calling home. Spent on my fingers, my fingers were trembling. I managed to select the number and press the call button. And now I'm being registered this one. I hadn't put it in myself, so there was a doubt when the call would go through. Considering what time it was, would my dad be home? Has my mom left already? Was Nanami there? And if it did connect, what would I even say? Hey, I'm your son, right? They'd probably think I was screwing with them, that I was being stupid, and in truth it was a stupid question. What if they said no? What if they said our son Takumi is eating dinner with his sister in the living room? If the phone call had been supposed to be proof that I was real, I actually did the opposite. Well, they'd asked, who are you? As these negative thoughts continued to swell my mind, I grew more and more afraid. I didn't want to know the outcome. I was really scared I couldn't control it. I was about to go insane. My breathing was ragged. I could barely breathe anymore. Right then, the call connected. My phone next to me, I prepared myself.
あなたがおかけになった電話番号は現在使われておりません。
No.
番号をご確認の上、もう一度おかけ直しください。
I want to prove that I was me. No, there was no one that could. I wanted to die. Raising my head, I noticed Yamanote Dori in front of me with lots of cars coming and going. I should say, no more delusions. Am I supposed to not do delusions now? Maybe it was the best thing that I died. It was fake value of being alive was worthless. Monster did try to live in the world. They just ended up being persecuted. Neither hopes nor dreams. My existence was repulsive to people. I wanted to be freed from all this. If I died to be free, for all I'd been over to think, no one to suffer from, no one to laugh at me, no one to betray me, that we wanted nothingness. Jesus Christ. Myself to heavy legs one step forward. This place is free of traffic like staggering onto the road. I'm feeling that salvation awaited me there. Glaring brightness from the pair of headlights, discordant noise from car horns, unnerving sound of squealing tires. Come on, kill me, kill this fake me. This is wait, I did no delusion. This happens anyways. Kill me. No matter how long I waited, the impact never came. Over my eyes, the car was stopped right in front of me. I was standing on the road on my own 2 feet. The driver got out and started shouting at me. Somebody shouted at me to keep shove me as he kept on screaming. Why? I broke down crying there and there. Why wouldn't anyone save me? Why wouldn't anyone release me? Is fake not even worth killing? As Rimi Sakihara walked beneath Shibuya Station underpass, she took out her cell phone. She walked straight there after parting ways with Takumi. She then selected the number registered in her address as Nana-chan and placed a call. I picked up the very next moment. So wait, I could have done a delusion or I can't? I don't understand. This game's just dumb. Very vague. I don't want to miss something. Should I go back? I didn't save it. I should have saved it.
実はちょっとした報告があります。ナナちゃんをこれから助けに行こうと思って。
I mean, an idea when Nami was being held, as well as who had abducted her. A theory she'd only come to because she had been in a similar situation herself once before. It was a past she wanted to forget. Someone she was ready to confront in order to rescue Nami, no matter how steeped in darkness his memories may be. The reaction of whom she had called was exactly as Rimi had predicted, leading her to inevitably start laughing.
私って信用されてないな。平気だってば。
Both her voice and expressions were cheerful. Not an ounce of the grim resolve she carried could be felt. She did not sound observers. It simply looked as if she was having fun, engaging conversation.
昔の話だしね。そもそも私の感情とナナちゃんを助けることとどっちを優先させるかなんて決まりきってることだよ。言ったでしょ。私はあなたの力になりたいって。それにタクには関わらせたくないの。
She said that Rimi's expression clouded over.
ちょっとだけ語っちゃっていいかな。タクにね、いろいろひどいこと言っちゃったんだ。しかもそんなことしておいてすごく自分勝手なんだけど、私彼と一緒に過ごした時間はとっても楽しかったって思っちゃってるんだ。何もかもが妄想でまみれたまやかしでしかなかったのに。学生生活もあの学校に私やタクが通ってることも、大ちんと友達だっていうことも、私がタクと一緒にいようとしたことも、タクの存在そのものも。
Little by little, Rimi's pace slowed. Multiple strangers passed her
タク
by.
ってどうしようもないくらい情けなくて、どうしようもないくらい弱くて、きっと普通の女だったら見向きもしないような男の子なんだよ。
As she spoke, she squeezed the hand she held the cell phone with.
なのに私の心には楽しかったっていう気持ちがあるの。なのに私の心にはもっと一緒にいたかったっていう気持ちがあるの。この気持ちって何なのかな。
Looking up, she saw the neon-lit night sky. No stars were in sight. For an ephemeral moment, Rimi said beneath it. A slight smile rose to her face, and she received a response.
さてと、そろそろ切るね。本当に大丈夫だって。あなたは何も心配しないで。私が全部決着をつけてくるから。ね、タクミ。
Talking to Takumi or who? Push a button? What's going on here? It said push a button. It's been a black screen forever. I've lost all my willpower. Before I realized that, I found myself back at my base. Now I'd gotten here after failing to die at Yamanote Dori. My memory was hazy.
このコンテナって誰 誰がどうやってここまで運んだんだろう。
Something I never even thought about until now. Now that I was, I could help notice how odd it felt. When I thought about it, the more it felt encroached upon my mind. When I closed the door, the room went pitch black. Leaning against the door, I simply stood there, as still as could be. Inside the quiet room, all that could be heard was the sound of my shallow breathing and the hum of my fan inside my PC. I thought maybe surrounding myself in darkness would make things easier, since I wouldn't have to be conscious of my pitiful self. It had the opposite effect. Unable to see anything without anything else to do, Remy's cruel words from before repeated endlessly in my mind.
あなたは妄想の存在なんだよ。
Moe's disgusted me more than ever before. I felt nauseous. I was already a disgusting freak before all this, but if my very existence was warped, I was already beyond saving. I wanted to disappear completely. Tripped over the trash, scattered. I don't know. It's like you thought like your parents left you live up here. Tripped over the trash, scattered across the floor. I stumbled, but now their parents don't exist, so who knows? Slipped my way to the end of the room. Turned the lights on, scaring away the dark. Then grabbed Seirotan's figure, post-awakening version. That so just happened to enter my line of sight and sat down in my chair. Brought her close to my chest. She was really small. She was really hard, too. She didn't breathe, nor did she speak. And the warmth that a 3D girl had. Okay, I'm going to do delusions. I know they said not stop me and do delusions. Am I supposed to not do delusions now? Or I'm saving the game. No. Go back. Yumi had left me. Now where Nanami was, Sen had attacked me. Because hadn't protected me. Yu was my enemy, and Ayase was hospitalized. These were the only girls I knew the names of. None of them would do anything for me. Reality was harsh. Didn't give a damn about a monster like me. Maybe we should go negative. Hey, Kenny, I don't know what this means. I trembled hands. I tightened the grip on Seirotan. I tried to attempt to break her. I want to disappear completely.
だったら消えればいいっしょ。
消えてやんよ。消えてやる。
The storage box under my bed. Remember, there should have been a knife around there. Looking back on it now, it was just a bunch of chuny nonsense, but there was a time when I thought walking around with a knife in my pocket was cool. I sought after police supervision got a lot tighter. Just as I thought, long while keychains, trading cards, and scratch paper was my pocket knife. Now the blade in my hand had shown eerily as it reflected in the light. A bit rusty. It had been left there for about a year. As the amount of rust didn't matter how much I was just slitting my wrists. I propped the knife in my left wrist, the same hand that was holding Seirotan. The blade was as cold as ice. It totally made me think of death. Closed my eyes, took 3 deep breaths. All I was left now was to keep a firm grip on the knife and drive it to the side. Just had to apply a bit of pressure with my right hand. My fake heart pounded and pounded. My pulse skyrocketed even though it was just a fake. I was being poured to the center of my head. The trembling refused to stop. It only got worse and worse with each passing second. Even though it was just a fake. Slit your wrist. If you can do so, you can disappear. Raised my voice in attempt to muster up the will to die. Slit it. My trembling had gotten so bad I dropped the Seirotan figure I was holding. The knife was still pressed against my wrist. The hand holding it was shaking like crazy. Putting away the knife, I leaned back in my chair and cradled my head in my hands. But I couldn't have the courage to kill myself. No reason to live yet unable to die. Couldn't put an end to my life, the life of a monster. The worthless piece of shit was beyond saving. It wasn't I just wanted to live, I was just scared of dying or disappearing for good. Even though it was just a fake. The other day I resorted to hoping someone else would be enough kind to kill me. I didn't even do anything of my own. The nature of time would be completely dependent on others. I may rot into my very core.
そんなタッキーも可愛いよ。
Seirotan spoke cheerfully, with a strong sense of disgust for myself. But made her do so. Such a fucking disgrace. Is that the delusion? The main presence quickly faded from the hospital, cloaked in night. After taking in all the life and death during the day, took this time to regain balance. At this time, the hospital housed neither the scent of life nor the scent of death. Only a quiet emptiness reigned. Bond Yusuji chuckled himself as he realized the odd nature of his thoughts. With a minor self-flagellation, it did indeed feel especially quiet tonight. Not yet time for the lights to be on, leaving the corridor steeped in darkness. There was not even a single sign of nurses. Immediately after stepping foot in the lobby, Bond was hit with a very bad feeling. There's no logical reason behind it. It's simply what one might call a detective's gut. That gut is usually right for the most part. In his mind, he believed it to be an oddly superstitious thought. This may have been simply a way to dismiss this feeling. While the taxi drove him to the hospital, Bond attempted to call Sua's phone numerous times. Each and every one of them had failed, which only served to demonstrate his junior's precarious situation all the more clearly. There was no time to waste. He had to find the place where Sua was being held within the large hospital and rescue him, all the while not being detected by the kidnapper. The lonely floor would have made his footsteps echo. To avoid this, Bond took off his shoes and entered the lobby. Winter was swiftly approaching this time at the end of the year, and the fact that Bond was readily made aware of when the chill from the floor sent shivers up his soles. Out of the automatic front door echoed throughout the room, followed by a voice of a girl calling out Bond's name. Eyes of seeing her in the lobby put Bond at a loss for words. He hurried toward her in a panic. Behind her glasses, he threw her anxious glances at her surroundings.
おい、なんでついてきたんだ。身を隠せって言っただろうね。
すみません。でも、私。
Bond looked away for any signs of Mimose, but she was nowhere to be seen. Realizing she'd come alone, Bond scratched the top of his head with a concerned expression.
今すぐ戻れ。これは遊びじゃねえんだぞ。
それは、分かっているつもりです。
分かってるなら帰るんだ。
As he spoke, a creaking sound came from the hallway across the lobby. Very center of this empty, dark hallway, slowly an empty wheelchair made its way towards Bond and Yua. It's Shogun! And at the same exact time, someone could be heard running up the stairs.
とにかくユアちゃんは帰れ。いいな。
Before he'd even finished giving his warning, Bond had already started running. He followed the footsteps up the stairs without waiting for Yua's answer. Given his typically languid demeanor, the speed at which Bond moved was like nothing anyone could have ever imagined. As he followed the footsteps, Bond found himself on the roof of the outpatient ward, where lines of shrubbery installed on the rooftop forming a garden of sorts. Most likely a space of healing for the patients there, but regrettably his lights were off. Bond could not see what kind of flowers were blooming there. Given the fact that Bond was on the roof was only natural that the wind would blow strong. With ragged breaths, Bond quickly surveyed his surroundings. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is where the man behind the footsteps must have run, but now he was nowhere to be seen. Did I hit her on purpose? The man fled without causing sounds. While causing sounds that seemed purposeful. Bond could not think of any reason for him to have done that aside for leading him here. Bond did not have his gun on him. He was apprehensive about being unarmed. He looked for something to conserve his weapon, but to no avail. With a gulp, he wiped away the sweat on his forehead with his fingers. Step by step, he made his way to the center of the garden. Here and there, Bond could see a few hiding spots tucked away from the shadows of the benches and shrubbery. He put himself in a fully alert state, one in which he could respond to a potential attacker no matter what direction they came from. Bond was set up in a circular faction with benches placed around it in accordance with its shape. Bond strained his eyes as he looked at each bench in order. And on one of those benches, his eyes landed upon a strange object. Keeping a close look on his surroundings, he slowly approached the bench. As he got closer to it, its shape was made clear to him. What? Darth Vader hat. The size of a soccer ball, round and dark it was. A severed human head. Bond had investigated countless murder cases involving dismemberment in the past, quickly recalled an image of the photo he'd once seen. The bad feeling in his chest grew stronger and stronger. Recognized the possibility of his junior's head, vengeful anger and furious rage towards the perpetrator bundled up from within. Bond gritted his teeth and drew him close to the bench. The object did not move a single inch. The wind of the night continued to blow. Then Bond heard a gunshot. He froze in response to the sound. Normally the detective would duck and investigate the direction the sound had come from. He wasn't able to even do that. No. In actuality, there was no need for him to do that anymore. Then a burning heat in his chest, Bond touched it with his hand. A slippery sensation. Something was flowing out of his body, coming up with a very particular smell of blood. In a short moment following the gunshot, did Bond's mind begin to register pain with him. He'd been shot. When he realized this, all his strength left his legs. Tricked him with the Darth Vader hat. Unable to remain standing, he collapsed to the ground. Footsteps from earlier were approaching him. His vision grew blurry. Just looked up the person drawing near. Dark shadow with the gun in his hand. A shadow so dark Bond could not recognize its face. Voice came.
手を引けって言ったのに。
Voice he recognized.
残念っすよ、先輩。
Oh no! He was shot by Sua. Bond, off sleep, he was met with the ridicule of one man, Sua Mamoru.
スワが、お前が俺を。
そうっす。いやー、
祝初発砲ってところっすか？
He's left in the night, so he casually picked up the object from the bench.
ちなみに先輩、やけにこれに注目してたっすけど、そんなに珍しかったんすか？
No.
ダース・スパイダーのヘルメット。
Darth Spider. So we now return to Bond. Held the dark helmet in front of the detective's face in an ostentatious manner. As Bond laughed, his vision grew blurrier and blurrier. Both his arms and legs felt completely frigid. His chest sharpened out just for physical pain. I felt an intense gaze upon him. He had no strength to conclude whether it was Sua's or someone else's. Only that his life would only last a few more minutes, Bond forced his growingly heavy body to face upwards. Arms and legs outstretched, only the night sky lay above him. Sky overcast with no stars to be seen, but even if there were any left in the sky, Bond had long since lost the ability to see them. He coughs, tastes of blood spread through his mouth.
お前はバカだ。 まだガキでどうしようもないくらいのバカなデカだ。だが俺はお前のこと結構勝手だ。
自分は先輩が鬱陶しくてしょうがなかったっすよ。
まあ気持ちはわかる。
You're gonna blame me. Bond's breathing grew increasingly shallow. Only a faint wheezing sound could be heard from leaked from his throat. No longer able to perceive anything anymore.
何者なんだお前。
His consciousness faded in and out. Bond spoke one final question, and in response, Sua pointed the muzzle at Bond and gave his
魔
reply.
法使いっす。
I'm a wizard.
バカが。
He's a gigolomaniac. The other kid realized the wind stopped blowing. The darkness quickly turned to a place of serenity. Within it, the two figures remained frozen still. That too remained only for an ephemeral moment. His finger now curled on the trigger slowly moved inwards.
先輩に信仰の救いあれ。
Take that. Is Naito saying kill me again and again in the chat room? Can't seem to do anything here. Oh, there's Grim. What the hell? All this time, now you're a Chuni? Looks like you're rejected by an IRL girl? Got some good news for you. Save version until 30. Become a wizard. It's like Sua. It's a pro tip. Speaking of pro tips, there'll be a festival in about an hour. I'll be at Shibuya Scramble Crossing. Yeah, this is going really slow. Just say kill me a million times here. Jesus, you're annoying. What the fuck? That's what you're gonna do. You should go do. You should go. You'll be a celebrity. You'll be the center of attention. You can get someone there for me. Someone there to kill you. Get off my PC monitor and hug my knees with my arms.
僕を殺してよ。誰か。
鬼ってば。
My hand was Serotan, my one and only ally.
おーい、開け
Just because I've been holding her in my sweaty hands for a while, her slender limbs were sticky. Not only that, her arms had also been bent.
ろ。ほら、開けろ。
I don't even care anymore. Oops. That voice. And me, how? You big jerk. There's no way I'd misheard that. Whenever every girl that visited my base, there was only one dime to scream outside like that. Nami was here. Someone surprised how different I felt in response to that fact. Didn't care whether coming here while I was this far gone to even do to me. Besides, it wasn't like it was out of ordinary for Nami to come here. Enemy said she was going to rescue her anyways. It was starting to irritate me. Just leave a monster like me alone. And Nami should have been focused on her right hand, not me. Know that I know what to do with happened to it. I haven't in me to talk to anyone anymore. She was being too loud, so I forced to give up my chair and head for the door. I seemed so far away, which made me realize I was scared to see her. Without a shadow of a doubt, the one standing before me was Nanami. For some reason, despite the fact that I wasn't raining, she was drenched from head to toe. Only one drop of water continuously fell from the hems of her uniform. Her head hung low, with her head hung low, her face hidden behind her bangs. I couldn't see her expression. She didn't speak a word, as if her previous anger she'd been showing had been completely fake. Suddenly, Nanami sluggishly extended her right arm towards me, and I was shocked. There was no hand to be seen. The sleeve was covering it, but I could see very well. I just knew for the fact that she had no hand. What? She's different now. Uncharacteristically low voice for her, she spoke. The hell? And then Nanami raised her head. Her skin was desiccated and deathly pale, and her lips were deep purple. My eye sockets were empty. There was no eyeballs with them, only deep black. Within one of those cavities, a single maggot came crawling out. It was a corpse, Nanami's corpse, moving and talking. Let's see the maggots on the floor there. Nanami's left hand was giving off a rotten stench, grabbed me by the neck. It was cold enough to make me shiver. Hope was not normal. It was too strong to be a girl's, and even for guys for that matter. Very few men could be so strong. I felt as my neck was breaking apart. Couldn't breathe. I coughed and coughed. The grip shot my neck, increasing pressure and growing tighter and tighter. I was going to die. I held my arms wildly, but I gave up my struggle soon after. If you're going to kill me, then go ahead. As to be killed in Nanami's ghost, that paid me at ease somewhat. It was my fault that she ended up like that after all. It's only fair for you to kill me. It made perfect sense. So please, hurry. I closed my eyes and trusted my body to her. Hurry up, Nanami, break the bones on my neck. No. Turn now. Nanami's corpse had vanished in an instant. By the fact that I should have been standing next to the door, I was now sitting on the sofa with Seiratan in my hand. Nanami stood in the middle of the room and she was speaking normally. There was a bandage across her wrist, but her hand was still there. Her skin looked normal, and she wasn't drenched at all. Her eyes were there where they should have been, too. It wasn't just saw delusion. I became disappointed. Why have to be a delusion? Why couldn't that be reality? I raised my heavy side. Nanami leaned forward to inspect my face.
だからさっきから全然元気ないんでしょう。しょうがないから、ナナがなんか作ってあげるよ。何がいいかな。あ、そうだ。オムライスにしようかな。
Omi rice. Like in a maid cafe.
最近、卵を半熟にするのがマイブームなんだ。すごいでしょ
The eggs are only half done? I don't want Omi rice anymore. Jesus. Could they get it when I was there? I just got alcohol when I was there.
ナナの美味しい半熟オムライスを食べられたのに。もったいないことしたね。
Nami kept talking on and on. For some reason, she was in a good mood. She always complained every time she was here. Is this Nami the real one? Her tone was completely different from how she sounded on the phone call I got a while ago. It's clear as day how different it was. I was starting to think this Nami might have been a delusion. Everything in this world is made up of delusions. Delusions developed only within my mind. Both me and this delusion I was looking at were fake. Even if she was the real one, I didn't care anymore. I was delusion in her existence, so I wasn't a real brother anyways. We weren't related by blood. I don't want to think about anything anymore.
Nanami.
I mean, in her eyes, I called out to my sister. One of the girls' identity I wasn't sure of.
お前が本物でも偽物でもどっちでもいいよ。
Right now, I only wanted one thing.
僕を殺してくれないか。
Okay. What? This ends. Now I'm going back to Ban. Now I'm going back to Yua. For entrance to the aged Tokyo General Hospital, Yua fixed her gaze beyond the automatic door. Emma told my Ban to get out of here now. She reluctantly complied and went outside. However, in her worry, she could not bring herself to go any further. Ban had followed the mysterious figure and vanished up the hospital stairs. Not even been 3 minutes since then, but hoping that Ban had already returned, Yua peeked into the lobby. Just after Ban headed into the hospital alone. Yua had ignored Momose's orders and followed after him. Also, she could get one step closer to the truth behind her little sister's death and the true perpetrator. The person that told Ban to back off over the phone had likely abducted Bon's junior, or someone who must have been named Suisan. was most likely the same one that killed her sister Mia. That was a feeling Yua had, and as such she had been able to hold back her impulsive emotions. Despite Bon's various warnings about the dangers involving herself within this case, Yua had come nevertheless. Moreover, it was not as though Yua would be able to achieve anything by coming here. She was nothing more than a powerless high schooler after all. Somewhere in her mind, Yua had hoped that Bon would simply come running gallantly back after apprehending the culprit. If that happened, she would have the opportunity to question them directly. Why did my sister have to die? That was one thing you had to ask. Suddenly, Yua felt a gaze upon her. She nervously scanned her surroundings. Not even been 2 hours since the sun had set, yet oddly enough, the hospital's front entrance was eerily quiet. Right next to it was the urgent care entrance, which also served as entrance for emergencies, yet not even there housed any signs of human presence. The train gently ran along its tracks beyond the hospital. Beside the hospital, Jesus Christ. Hardly any cars that passed by the large street in front of it. There was nary a single passerby. The house between the sleepless cities of Shibuya and Shinjuku, where Yua was now, was akin to an abyss of darkness, formed in the interstice of 2 bursts of blinding light. I mean, come on, dude. Who wrote this garbage? No figure that could conceivably be responsible for that gaze was visible. Pulling back her anxiety, Yua placed her hand on her chest and let out a small sigh. Following this, she found herself glancing over at the hospital ward. What? There at the entrance to the hospital stood a single girl. Lights were out, rendering the area very dimly lit, yet the girl's figure was clearly visible amid the darkness.
Mia-chan.
She's back. Unintended to Yua whispered that name. Sense of reason told her it was impossible, but nonetheless, she could not keep those words from escaping. The girl was a mirror image of her. A mirror image of her twin sister that was no longer of this world. Moreover, Yua recognized the clothes she was wearing. She knew almost for a fact they were her sister's clothes. A bit of her being perhaps a ghost filled Yua with fear, a fear that made her hair stand on end. Then the girl turned and headed towards the automatic door marking the entrance to the hospital ward. The moment she grew close enough, the door quietly slid open. This isn't a ghost. He was in shock. Before she could register anything anymore, she promptly ran after the girl into the hospital ward. Inside, perhaps due to it being past closing time, it was even quieter than outside. Each time Yua took a step forward, her footsteps echoed forth in the depths of the corridor. And just the same in the outpatient ward, but the fact that it was even quieter made her very uneasy. The girl disappeared up the stairs. You heard the faint sound of laughter coming from ahead. It's like a scene straight out from a ghost story. In her mind, Yua cautiously made her way up the stairs step by step. She arrived on the 2nd floor. Glancing around the corridor, she had not seen anything, something she had expected. But, just as she was expecting that it may have been a mere illusion... Uh-oh. Crazy ghosts. The girl's laughter sounded from the floor above. That voice and the sound of its laughter were identical to what you had heard time and time again in the past. Climbing to the 3rd floor, looking down the corridor, Yua saw a girl with the same face as her standing there. One of the victims of the first New Gen case, the group dive, her little sister, who should have died 2 months ago. Mia Kusunoki was standing right there with an unmistakable sense of presence.
So.
Yua removed her glasses and rubbed her eyes. However, even after putting her glasses back on, she looked to see that Mia was still there.
Mia-chan, nano?
What? Voice so clear it could never be an illusion. A triumphant smile on her face, a laughter in her air. Exactly the same as Yua remembered from her sister. She'd always acted the very same way. In order for her to be the wrongdoer in the eyes of others, she'd always laugh like that all the time.
Mia-chan. 本当に私がミアであなたがユアだと思う？どういうこと？もし逆だったら？
You're Mia, and I'm Yua, and you're dead.
あなたはミア。
Yep.
死んだのはユア。殺したのはあなた。
What? You killed her? Uh-oh. Plot twist.
何言っているの？あなたは親に愛される姉が疎ましくてネットで殺人を依頼したのよ。しかも自殺に見せかけるように見ず知らずの4人も一緒に飛び降りさせた。
Oh, okay.
あなたは姉になりすまして妹の死を悲しみ涙を流しているふりをしながらこれまで姉が独占していた親の愛を手に入れて心の中では北総園である。違うわ。私はユアよ。誰がそれを証明するの？私はユアのはず。でも確信が持てない。私を私だと証明するものって何？ 顔？名前？記憶？自分のことなのに。自分で自分を証明するなんて不可能よ。私がミヤだっていう可能性もあるの。あなたはいろいろと調べていたじゃない。多重人格、浮遊病、記憶捏造、それから
No.
妄想。
Concepts you herself had been looking into prior to now showed just how real the ambiguity of mere memories, perhaps recollections, truly was. Should be were, not was. She didn't know nor understand herself anymore. What was she? You cradled her head as she shook it in denial.
あなたは誰？
Was she Yua, who always played the good child, and was automatically loved and cherished by her parents? Was she Mia, who always played the bad child, was actively hated by her parents, the child who, despite her actions, being her own, off-cast her sister, glares of jealousy and hatred?
さあ、私も。
Mia, or possibly Yua, guided Yua, or possibly Mia as she walked down the corridor soundlessly.
私と同じ目に遭いなさい。
Yua and Mia, identical twins, faces a mirror image of one another, and that blurred the boundary, that boundary that served to differentiate between the two was growing more and more blurred. The two enormous boxes stood tall within the distance. Wait, which is this? Yua, or is this Takumi? They compared to other Shinjuku skyscrapers, they were akin to a small child looking up at their parents. In the hospital roof, this is where Yua found herself, being led there by Mia. The section of the towering fence had been torn open and was just wide enough to allow a person to fit through. Whether this was intentional effort, none could say. Mia and Yua, after moving through the torn section to the outer side of the fence, both now stood at the edge of the roof. Before them, the outpatient ward. The location was lower than the hospital ward. The entire breadth of the roof garden was visible to them. However, the lights were still turned off. Even if there were people there, Yua would be able to know. The wind blew strongly on the rooftop. The gale made Yua and Mia's softer flutter, along with the hems of their clothes.
私たちはもともと一つだったんだから。また戻るだけ。一歩を踏み出せば、あなたは私になる。
Yua, her eyes vacant of a light, mechanically whispered those motionless words. Behind her arms to maintain her balance, she endured the upward rising wind. Behind her, Mia, arms spread just as wide as Yua's, looked at her sister and smiled.
耐える必要なんてないよ。あなたは私の痛みを知らなくちゃならない。さあ、飛んで。そうすれば、私もあなたも同じ痛みを共有するわ。私はどっちなの？私？あなた？それを聞いても意味はないわ。どっちにしたって。私は飛ぶ。
While hesitation left within Yua disappeared. And so moving her forward, she... Gunshot tore through the dark night. With a start, Yua came to her senses. Realizing where she was, she let out a frightful scream. She heard where she stood, immediately disoriented her, making her lose her balance. Very nearly fell, but in her desperation, she shot her hand toward the fence, and behind her grabbed onto it. As she managed to avoid being met with a terrible fate. Gunshot had come from the roof, from the outpatient ward, leading her to look back at it once more. Circular clearing on the roof garden, she managed to spot multiple figures. There were two of them. One was on the ground, the other stood beside them.
Bansan.
The detective shot someone? Or the detective been shot by someone?
何をしてるの？どうして私と同じ痛みを味わおうとしないの？そんなの卑怯よ。ずるいわ。ミヤちゃん。違うわ。私はユアよ。ユアは私。ミヤはあなた。あなたは一体何なの？私はあなたの望んだもの。
You're a delusion.
あなたは私の望んだもの。
Mia reached for her sister, placed her hands around Yua's neck. She began to strangle her. He felt a strong pressure on her throat. She could no longer breathe. Mia was no ghost. She definitely had a body of flesh and blood, and now she was strangling Yua with it.
お願い、死んでよ。今日ぐらい私のお願いを聞いて。いつも我慢してきたんだから。
His vision grew crimson. She reached her hands out into the air in front of her, and herself unable to grasp anything. I'm gonna die. Watching the most extreme dread using her whole body, Yua called upon the strength she did not know she had, and she tried desperately to break free from Mia's grasp. But Mia was too strong. He was able to move even a single inch. When Yua's thoughts were dyed crimson, when her consciousness was being coated in a layer of viscous blood. Despite friendly, she shook her head so violently her glasses fell from her face. From that point on to the outside observer, Yua and Mia were no longer distinguishable. No matter who killed him, the result was arbitrary. If Yua died, all Mia would have to do was become Yua. If Mia died, all Yuas had to become Mia. And the realization steadily spread throughout Yua's heart. Before her eyes was Mia's or possibly Yua's face, seeping with anger. And when she reached the sight, she looked away. What vaulted red fever was the shrubbery and the flowers adorning the roof garden. Her mind knew thought there was a shadow among those flowers, like something she'd never seen before. The perhaps a simple illusion, trapped her glass in the struggle after all. However, unable to breathe, after suffering so much pain, a faint sense of peace gradually rose within her. Despite her thoughts simply surrendering herself and peacefully passing on, her instinctive desire not to deny her of that peace, and you extended her hand toward the desperate shadow. This is from the shrubbery was about 2 meters. However, how she was now, there was no way she would reach it, even if she was to extend her hand. Who wrote this? And yet, her fingertips touched something hard and cold. She then grasped it almost immediately unconsciously. Second she did so, Yua Kusunoki's consciousness, right on the verge of fading, instantly became clear, as though the haze had been dispelled from her mind. I have the D sword. Invisible yet fierce impact. Her sister, rained upon by showering of the lights akin to petals, was blown away. Languidly standing up, she gasped for air. Yua looked at where she was holding, and instantly doubted her eyes. It was a sword, all too elegant like the glasses worn by one. It's all too vigorous, all too immaculate. Two things at once here. All from nature veil, all too difficult, its frame raised to fracture. Jesus Christ. Also beautiful, its beck and tears from all the way to eyes found also be the big. Okay, same thing. What? Object now in her hands. Might a Yua of Ayase's sword. She'd seen the overpass, and on the sword that Bon had spoken of, Senna's.
今のは何?
Yeah, from being blown away, the mysterious impact had been buried in the shrubbery. As she held her head, she freed herself from it and crawled back to her feet.
あなたは何をしたの? 私はミヤちゃん。私、やっとわかったわ。どうしてここまで一生懸命あなたの死の真相を調べていたのか。私を殺そうとしたの？私はまた殺されるところだったの？また？結局、私はあなたが怖かったのよ。当てつけに死なれたと思ったの。あなたがわからなかったの。あなたが死んだ理由は私のせいじゃないって証明して安心したかった。最低のお姉ちゃんね。どうして死んでくれないのよ。
No longer get through to her. Two cells once together in the building, and now diverged completely, never to return to one again. He reached to grab her once more, a reminder of the pain she experienced before Yua's temples, a tremble of dread returned, leading her to... Brandished her sword, carved a sharp tail, and then cut the ghost in half. Mia's moves came to a halt, and with a look of shock on her face, she traced the wound of gouged flesh with her hand, beginning from the left side of her torso all the way to the right of her right shoulder. No blood sprang forth.
2ヶ月前に死にました。それなら、あなたは誰なんですか?
Countless particles large enough to be seen by the naked eye came flowing out from within Mia. Her body now enveloped in bubbles gradually collapsed to the ground as her silhouette faded and faded, now transforming into something else. Yua, with feelings of incredulity, saw what it was. After a moment's wait, a man with impressively large physique appeared in Mia's place. He was wearing a denim shirt, jeans, and a rucksack on his back. What? Some otaku? We've never seen the man before.
あなた、誰？どうしてミヤちゃんの姿に？どうやって？
Moved back away in confusion, so holding her D-sword. The man was similarly bewildered. He likely not predicted that we'd have been covered, leaving him to act in a very clearly frantic manner.
お前こそなんで?
I'm the one who's confused here.
まさかこのガキギガロマニアックスか。聞いてないぞ。
What?
くそ、どうしたら。
He was like some kind of... What? Porter? And ignoring gravity itself, it came flying in. Its path almost horizontal. The time the man looked behind him had already perforated the rucksack on his back. In that same rucksack, a pale flash of light surged. And then as though he'd received just an electric shock, stiffened up like a pole. His eyes shot open wide, and only a moment later he lost consciousness, falling face first to the ground. Over to the mouth, and every so often his body would twitch. An object that appeared his rucksack, object that pierced his rucksack, the sword quite like the one you obtained just a moment ago. With beautiful curves adorning its every edge. You remember the sword. She had seen it once before. A single presence approached her. Yua raised her head. Someone then emerged from the darkness.
何事か
She's
と思ったら
back.
こんな騒ぎになっていたのね。岸本さん
Not a change in her expression, Ayase glanced at the sword Yua held in her hands.
感じる。大いなる意志を。私がこの病院に居続けた意味は、こういうことだったんだわ。
Yua had sunk into the ground, dumbfounded. Ayase picked up the glasses that had fallen near her, crouched down in front of Yua, and peered at the girl's face. And with her slender fingers, she brushed Yua's hair aside and gently put her glasses back in
君
place.
も、グラジオールの黒騎士だったのね。
What? Ayase gave a faint, transient smile. Alright. Okay, we're back to him now.
僕を殺してく
Alright, let's save it
れ
here.
ないか。
Exciting, not depressing story. Alright. I'll be back for more of this on... Wait. Yeah, I will be on Saturday, because that'll be before SummerSlam, right? So yeah. I'll be back for more of this on Saturday. Thanks for hanging around. I had a lot of fun. Once again, this story is very, very upsetting, sort of. But maybe it has to be like this to eventually pick up later, yeah. That did happen to the other ones, too. It got really crazy. SummerSlam. Yeah, I don't know about SummerSlam. I just don't care about any of the matches at all. Like, I'll watch it, but I mean, I just don't care. Anyways, everybody have a great day. Tomorrow I'll be doing some more Joshi wrestling. That'll be around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. Definitely come back for that if you can. All right. Let's find someone to raid. Thanks for hanging around, guys. I don't know how much longer this story is. I wonder if when you go back and do that, the endings is like completely changed. Does it make you guy cool? He sucks really bad throughout this entire game. Everybody's got a D sword but him. So it's pretty much just Akira. Wait, is Queen Bee watching another? Is this actual or is this another replay? Replay, okay. Let's see. There's Old School Wrestling Review and Akira. That's pretty much it. Oh, there's Oli. We could wrestle. We could wrestle. We could raid Oli. There's also RMP Wrestling. Oh shit. What should we do? We did Oli recently. Let's do RMP Wrestling this time. This is a live show, it's saying. Wait, this is edited. Can't tell. It says live from Lafayette, Colorado, not Louisiana. Alright. Everyone, please have a good day. Yeah. Hope to see you again soon. Say hello, say goodbye.
Jason Knoll and Briscoe Town were a part of the group of your starting lineup. Briscoe originally had another tag team partner, but there was a short period of time where Jason Knoll was part of that group that was coached by Coach Mack, who I dearly miss.